And on our main card, we start out with the heavy-hitting John Mindoro, 13 wins, 13 by knockout. But Omar Munguia also undefeated, his 8 wins, 6 by knockout. This is a fight you don't want to go get something to eat guaranteed to end in a knockout. In the welterweight division, it is Ruben Aguilar, 22-0, 19 wins by knockout. Isef Kinda, his opponent, 20-7, 9 knockouts. Kinda talked about boxing tonight. Aguilar, however, looking for power punches to finish this one inside the distance. And 10 rounds in our co-main event of the evening. Emiliano Moreno from Long Beach, California, 12-0, 7 wins by knockout. Erick Bonet, well-traveled. He said, this is my last opportunity at the elite. I'm going to show this youngster that I'm a veteran for a reason. It's going to be an action-packed fight. And our main event, Michael Angeletti, undefeated, 13-0, 8 big wins by knockout. Eros Correa from San Jose, California, 9 wins by knockout. These are two fighters who are promising fireworks in our main event. Well, welcome inside the Boeing Center. It is Jimmy Smith, as always, alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, in our main event of the evening. Justin Pauldo did not make weight. That fight has ended up being scrapped. But, Chris, I like that look on your face when you do this. I don't know, this main event, you're looking forward to fireworks in this one.
Listen, we always stack our card, just in case something falls out, that the co-main event can step into the main event position and hold its own with any other fight in the world today. And we have that in this main event now.
Yeah, when you look at Eros Correa, his one loss, of course, to Akatsugi, who's been on our air before. He is a puzzle to say the least. But Correa said, I learned a lot in that fight. I'm a better man because of that one loss that Angeletti doesn't have.
Yeah, naturally, when you step up in the level of opposition, win or lose, it's going to be a learning experience. And that's what Correa has with that Akatsugi fight. Correa is a solid fighter himself. And if that Akatsugi fight has made him any better, I think Angeletti's in for a tough fight tonight, and it'll be a real test for the undefeated phenom Angeletti. Yeah,
but when you look at Angeletti last time out against Judy Flores right here in this building, Flores came out with an awkward style, landed some good punches. It kind of surprised us. It took a while for him to get the kind of read and react, but when he did, when he hit that body shot, absolutely unbelievable, Chris.
That was a thing of beauty, and it was out of nowhere. It's just one of those one-shot, perfect one-hitter quitters that he landed to the body. Very, very impressive performance against a super tough guy.
Well, I want to put Paulie on the spot. It's my favorite thing to do for the Future Stars section of our show. What is interesting to me is when you look at Emilio Garcia from nearby Laredo, Texas, 1-0 in his career, 1 win by knockout, a decorated amateur, one of the best in the world. But his opponent, 6 wins, 5 wins by knockout. Paulie, what are you always saying? You don't like up-and-comers facing punchers.
That's a bit what I mean about the good news and bad news about that situation. The bad news is, as you mentioned, Jimmy, the opponent has 6 wins, 5 of them by way of knockout. So you're like, wow, this guy, when he wins, he cracks you. The good news is he's also got 10 losses. So, so he's got 5 knockouts in 16 fights. So it's not maybe it's not as big of a puncher. You can also get to him. The amount of losses also shows you can get to him. But still, a prospect fighting a guy with this many knockout wins, this high percentage of knockout wins in comparison to his victories, sure, it can be a little bit of an alert system that can go off, and we'll be watching. We'll be on alert to see how he reacts to punches.
Put like a little spice. Put like a little danger in your fight.
It's a necessary test.
You know what?
You got to fight a puncher sometime at some point.
It does come, but I always, in the words of the great Johnny Boz, you don't fight them until you have to. And so for me, I think prospects can be spared the punches until there's big money on the line.
Not on ProBox.
Well, that's the fun thing about ProBox. But you know what? Punchers will be around. At world-class level, they're guaranteed to be there regardless. But at least by then, you're getting paid. Either way, like the champ said, not on ProBox. Here, we match them up all kinds of ways.
Yeah, but when you talk about Garcia, his last time out, of course, getting a win on our air in Philadelphia, but he was disappointed with that. There was a little bit of, man, should have finished it a little sooner, should have been a little bit more aggressive, shoulda. I like that in up-and-comer.
I was just going to say, yeah, that's exactly how he should be. That's why I was coming up. You should never be satisfied with what you're doing. You got to go out there, you got to get better all the time, because like the champ said, at the world-class level, guys just get better and better and better. They can all punch. They're all tough. They're all in great shape. So you got to make sure that you're making those necessary transitions on the way up.
I don't think there's ever anything wrong with expecting more of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I think you have to be your own worst critic.
Well, speaking of the worst critics, we expect you to be that at home for the Future Stars portion of our show. 2 great fights featuring up-and-comers who might be tomorrow's champions. It's how we start out before our Contender Series, and we are getting ready to go here. That's right, San Antonio, Texas. The crowd just coming in. The fighters are ready to go for our first matchup in our Future Stars segment. We are ready to go. It is Figo La Máquina Gonzalez. 6 rounds in the super bantamweight division, taking on Luis Morales. You can see from Mexico. Both young fighters just starting out their careers. Those promises to be an absolute war. And look at the tail of tape, 22 and 23. Slight height advantage for Morales, a reach advantage as well. Let's get it into the ring. Lupe Contreras, get us started.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the Boeing Center at Techport, San Antonio, Texas. It is another edition of ProBox TV, being sponsored by Bet Online and Wild Casino. Tonight's contest are being sanctioned by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. Commissioner is Rick Figueroa. Executive Director is Mike Arismendiz, and Combative Arts Administrator Jose Gregorio Alvarez. We kick off the action with this bout set for 6 rounds in the Super Bantamweight division. Arrancamos con la acción. Este duelo pactado 6 vueltas. División peso Super Gallo. Los jueces son, the judges are Wilfredo Esperón, Charles Weaver, and Jenny Cárdenas. Presentando la esquina azul, introducing the blue corner, vestido de guinda con color plateado. He steps in wearing maroon trunks with silver trim. On the scale, he registered the official 123 3/4 pounds. Sobre la báscula, marcó un peso oficial de 123 libras y 3 cuartos. Esta noche acepta el reto y se enfrenta a otro rival invicto en su 15º combate a nivel profesional, con 9 victorias, 4 derrotas, un empate y un knockout tonight. He accepts the challenge and faces off against another undefeated opponent in his 15th bout as a pro, with 9 victories against 4 losses, 1 bout even, one of those victories coming by way of KO. De Cuernavaca, Morelos, Mexico, Luis Iron Boy Alvarado. His opposition in the red corner, su oposición en la esquina roja, vestido de negro con plateado. He steps in wearing black with silver. He weighed in at the super bantamweight limit of 122 pounds de toda la báscula, al límite de peso super gallo 122 libras. Esta noche arriesga su récord invicto dentro del cuadrilátero de ProBox TV. 9 victorias, 0 derrotas y 4 knockouts tonight. He puts it all on the line, including his undefeated record inside the ProBox TV ring, with 9 victories. No losses, 4 of those victories coming by way of knockout. Representing Big D, Dallas, Texas, Figo La Máquina Ramirez. With final instructions, referee Ellis Johnson.
Aquí arriba, bueno, acá escúchame, porque dice limpio.
We are ready to get underway with the Future Stars portion of our show. First fight of the night. Crowd just coming in. And it promises to be a banger. Figo La Máquina Gonzalez, Luis Morales. Figo says, I want to live up to the name La Máquina, the machine. That means you don't get tired. You bring the pressure the entire time. That's what we expect from 2 Mexican fighters. And here we go.
You know, Jimmy, last time out, Figo was very impressive. He fought the very, very tough Jose Lopez in this room, and he's a spoiler. And Figo handled him very, very well for someone that has that much experience. So I'm curious to see how he's improved since then.
Now, national Golden Glove champion here in the United States, also took bronze in Mexico at Golden Gloves because I went down south to try it there. And, you know, man, the gym work down there, everything very, very tough. It's the environment he's used to.
Both guys with that high guard, you know, they're very comfortable at mid-range here. You know, obviously it's going to be a little bit of a feel-out round, but they're starting at close range, pretty close, pretty early here, mid-range.
There's Morales in the red, Gonzalez in the black.
I like how Figo went right to that looping right hand to get around that high guard.
Paulie, you talk about all the time. He goes, you know, the amateurs are where you build fundamentals, and Figo definitely has solid fundamentals.
Yeah. Good hand positioning, good sense of balance, and good sense of just positioning in general with his body. He doesn't overcommit to the defense. I like how Morales is trying to get around the guard and trying to get to the body himself as well.
Figo said he expected a fast start from Morales. So I'm ready to fight fire with fire in the opening. Is staying very sound. Good uppercut, right hand combination.
Yeah, speaking of which, right, he's throwing some fire there. But Morales also, you know, doing a good job of not busting position himself.
Really nice punch selection from Figo, mixing it up nicely. There's a good
Nice
uppercut with the lead
uppercut.
hand.
Yeah, a nice one by Morales.
Yeah,
right?
by Morales,
Speaking
exactly.
of punch selection, nice little left hand uppercut there on a counter. Good body shot there by
Nice.
Figo. You got to get around those throws as well.
Dig down to the body. When you got a guy coming at you high guard, got to attack those flanks.
You know, both guys giving each other similar looks here, so the same kind of punches are going to be open for both. It's just a matter of who's going to have the better shot selection here.
Right now, as we're sitting here, as these guys square off close to one another, Morales certainly looks like the bigger guy tonight.
Yeah, certainly does. I noticed that as well, Jimmy. He looks like the bigger guy. We'll see if he's the stronger guy.
One of the reasons you can tell is even when the punches are blocked, you see Figo moving backward off that right hand, even when he blocks most of it. It's a good indication the guy's throwing heavy leather. Man, Figo quick with that left hook, gentlemen.
He sets it up nicely, too. Throws it right off that. Ooh, nice double, triple left hook.
Yeah, and change the levels with it. You know,
Yep.
going to upstairs to the body, downstairs to the downstairs to the body, upstairs to the head. Sometimes touches the shoulder to set up the head hook or the body hook.
But you saw Morales came right back. He's the kind of guy who's going to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, and the reason he can do that is because, again, his sense of positioning is also very good. Nice little sneak body shot there by Morales in between punches.
Sneaky right hand,
And I
speaking
think-
of sneaky.
Yeah, and I think Figo may have felt that shot, that body shot. It sent him reeling, and now Morales is getting on the offensive.
Well, we thought we'd get a quick start in this fight. We were not mistaken, gentlemen.
Yeah, that was a sneak body shot
Yeah.
in between shots by Figo. And that was Figo took. And after that, you saw him go into retreat mode, and it's almost like Morales read that and got into extreme attack mode in the last 10 seconds.
Gonzalez a bit more accurate with his punches, nice tight shots, but Morales very busy, landed some good punches of his own in round number one.
He's a 14-fight veteran. He's got a little more experience than Figo. And to your point, he looks like he's the bigger man. He's throwing some heavy leather. Only one KO, though. So a lot of times you got to look past the numbers. You got to see what you have in front of you.
But you said in the beginning of the fight, Chris, is like they're strong guys and they're strong punchers. They're not
Yeah, it's
necessarily
different.
the same thing.
Sometimes it's hard for people to understand that, but yeah, you could be physically strong, but not necessarily be a knockout puncher.
The fans getting their money's worth so far as we begin round number two. This one's scheduled for 6.
A lot of action in that opening
Yeah.
stanza. Not much feeling out from these two.
What's funny is Gonzalez, who we see as so far the smaller fighter, said he had trouble with this cut. They're getting more difficult as he's getting older. Morales did not mention difficulty with the cut, even though he looks like the bigger man tonight.
But sometimes when you do it right, you actually fill in. You rehydrate back up, and you can be the bigger man, even though you didn't have as much trouble.
Getting a shot selection by Figo being displayed here in a few seconds, but Morales goes right back again. Morales came to win tonight, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
You see bringing that physical pressure, Chris. As you talked about being the bigger, stronger guy, you can control the real estate. Certainly trying to do that.
I think he's also very comfortable with the punches coming his way. He's not really feeling the power from Figo, and he knows that he can get to Figo. He seemed like he hurt him to the body last round.
Corner wanting him to counter that left hook with a right hand over the top. Saw him do it early in the round. Another good body shot.
Looks to me like Figo is going to have to be the faster man, use his combination punching, and then keep stepping around, keep Morales off balance.
And Paulie, you talk about all the time, a lot of judges, they see who's moving forward, not necessarily who's landing the cleaner punches, and it's certainly Morales moving forward so far in this round.
Yeah, he is. And he's also landing some good shots. I mean, Figo is landing some good shots on the back foot, but Morales is giving him trouble, man. He's pressing, but he's pressing with a purpose.
But Paulie, we see it all the time. Somebody eats punches in round number 1. They decide, my opponent can't really hurt me. Boom, and then they get hit with the big shot.
Yeah.
Right now, so far, Morales fighting very brave in round 2.
Yeah.
Well, it's still really early. My coach used to always say, everybody give you 3 rounds. So it's still really early in this fight. You don't know, whose power is really going to carry just yet.
Morales had 8 weeks to get ready. He said it was a very tough camp. Had a lot of good sparring.
And you can see he's mentally and physically ready here in this fight.
He said he's very proud of his ProBox debut. And he says, my opponent's tough. I'm ready to go. 6 hard rounds here.
Oh, nice combinations here from Figo. Actually backs Morales on the ropes.
Nice uppercut on the inside and return fire by Morales.
And a strong finish to round 2 for Gonzalez. Interesting back and forth, gentlemen. Morales had a good start. And then the finish, very, very strong from Gonzalez to end round number 2.
Even just from looking at the body language and mannerisms, Morales looks to be very confident here tonight. This is what I was talking about before, Jimmy. The fast hands of Figo. He's got the quicker hands. He's got nice combinations, but he needs to step around. He shouldn't stay right in front of Morales like that because the guy keeps coming back with shots just like that.
Mexican versus Mexican-American, always going to give you a great fight.
Gotta love the San Antonio Mexican fan base. Guys,
so into
people
it.
are already here. It's the first bout of the night.
As we said, they're getting a treat as we begin round number 3.
Not sure if you said they've already got 3 strong rounds, so this is the 3rd one.
Yes, everybody's got 3. This could be the last strong round for somebody.
Morales had to take some time off. He had a bicep injury 4 years ago, had surgery to repair it. Of course, injured in sparring. Said I had to take some time off, but now I'm fully healed. And he says, the first time I'm fighting injury-free in a long time.
Oh, those bicep injuries can be tricky, man. It's actually a pretty common injury in boxing because of all the explosive move and fast hands with the upper body.
Angeletti Figo defending well now, using that jab.
Yeah, when he keeps stepping around Morales, it just don't give him a target.
But Morales creating that target right now too. Morales bringing physical pressure as well, presenting himself constantly in front of the face of Figo, and it creates that mental pressure besides that physical pressure.
There's a little swelling under the eye of Figo, and then the lead eye that left out.
Gonzalez right now doing good work with the jab. That educated lead hand, but good defense from Morales as well.
Figo doing a nice job brandishing that speedy jab.
Oh, commitment on that right hand.
But Figo did a good job of aiding. He got out of the way, kept using angles, stepped around.
A bit more movement from Figo in this 3rd round. You were talking about it, Chris, and you want to see him angle and move. He's certainly doing more of that in round number 3.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good adjustment down the stretch for him if he's going to be successful here tonight.
I think another adjustment that could be a feint. He's starting to get that jab working right, and when you get your jab working right, this body shot there by Figo. When you get your jab working out and over time, and it's starting to be accurate, your feints start to be a little more deadly. And I'd like to see some feints on the part of Figo mixed with that sharp jab.
Back to the uppercut as well. Good shot right through the center.
Morales is not giving a lot of respect to Figo, though. So you sometimes you get those guys, they don't even react to your feints because they're not worried about what's coming back.
Nice shot there. Well, I'll tell you what, they'll still bite in some ways. You can still get some kind of reaction. Because these jabs are starting to land consistently on Morales, and they're starting to frustrate him. You're starting to see he's looking for bigger and bigger punches, Morales, instead of setting them up.
Yeah, this is not unlike Figo's last fight. He had a little bit of trouble in rounds 1 and 2, and then he kind of found his rhythm let the hand speed go, let the combination punching and the movement. Getting a sense that could be what we're looking at once again.
It looks like Figo's starting to separate himself a bit at the end of round number 3.
World-ranked super middleweight contender Lester Martinez continues his quest towards a world title when he clashes with Frenchman Pierre de Bombay in a 10-round main event. Also on the card, the all-action southpaw Vladimir Hernandez from nearby Stockton looks to continue his 3-fight winning streak against Francisco Verón at the Save Mart Center on July 12th in Fresno, California.
Can't wait to see Lester Martinez hard-hitting super middleweight yet again. But here's some action from here in San Antonio, round number 3, and Gonzalez pulling away a bit.
Yeah, it was a good round 3 for him. He got on his movement a little bit, using that lateral movement. The good hand speed, and we saw that big body shot there. Probably the best punch landed tonight from Figo.
And also, you talk about Figo Gonzalez should get out of the way after he punches, and you saw what happens when he steps around after he punches. Nothing coming back from Morales. Morales has to pick up his feet to get to him.
So we begin round number 4, once again scheduled for 6. We're at the halfway point of this fight.
Morales has a lot of fight in him. He wants to throw back, but if you take away the opportunity to throw back, he's not going to be able to. And then we do that by stepping around after punching.
And as you said, Paulie, he'll always be a target. He'll always be right in front.
Yeah.
Figo knows that, keeping that jab in his face.
Yeah, and that's why you can't stay in his face either. You got to step around afterwards. Otherwise, he's always going to be looking to throw. Morales still has a lot of fight left in him.
Trying to counter with those loopy left hands.
Morales is a contact guy. You don't want to stand in front of guys like that. He doesn't mind getting hit because he knows where you are to counter and come right back. But you keep stepping around a guy like that, you jab him, you move him, you can really shut off their offense.
I got to be impressed on the outside from Figo Gonzalez's jab. It's been a great weapon throughout this fight.
Confidence growing in Gonzalez here in round 4.
Morales turning southpaw here. Let's see what happens.
Oh, nice uppercut right through the center for Morales.
Yeah, that was with that southpaw left hand.
As both you gentlemen know, power side changes. If you're not ready for it, it can take you by surprise. It looks like that's what happened with that center uppercut.
And also, Jimmy, it comes from angles that you're just not used to seeing. So, Figo wasn't ready for that shot because it came from a strange angle. Ooh, big left hand.
Back to orthodox. Morales keeping the punches coming.
These guys are scrapping. Yeah. Good get back round from Morales.
Good left hook as well.
Nice combination there. And a counter from Figo.
To the body, Go to the body.
I said early on in the fight that Morales came to fight, Paulie. That is evident even after a bad round 3.
Yeah, he's trying to impose himself physically here this round, and he's trying to catch Figo on the end of the point, on the end of the movement. Figo's got to make those moves a little shorter and a little tighter.
Works at
increasing the pressure.
And works at a marketing company when he's not boxing. He's trying to sell the end of this round.
Wow, good work here from Morales. Really letting those hands go nicely.
Standing in Gonzalez's face. Well, gentlemen, if you thought Morales was going to go away after that last round, he's proven otherwise. Very good round number 4.
Anything but.
He's in very good shape. Very good shape, which is why you're seeing so much confidence coming from him as well.
It's so funny, gentlemen, whenever we sit down with a fighter from either the southern United States, a Mexican gym, either in Mexico or in the southern United States, they always say the same thing. We say, who'd you spar with? Who was good? They go, everybody's tough.
Everybody's good, yeah. Oof, there's that nasty southpaw uppercut that we were talking about, Jimmy, that split the guard. Gonzalez just didn't see that shot coming because it came from that southpaw position.
Morales, you can tell he had tough work getting ready for this fight because he is not backing down an inch.
I remember coming up sparring in the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy back in 2010, 2011. And I'm telling you, everybody in that gym could fight. Everybody. The guy serving your Del Taco could fight.
You know all about the gym wars in Southern California. As we enter round number 5, scheduled for 6. Figo Gonzalez in the black and silver, taking on Luis Morales. He is in the red and white.
Excellent. So you're going to start each bout.
A good right hand off that movement you were talking about, Chris.
Yeah, that's nice. That's where Figo is having his best success.
But Morales' instinct is always to come back and throw more. It's never to back off.
No, it's pressure.
And that's why I say, Figo, he would do things like feint, even change the look, change levels. It offsets the pressure of a fighter because he sort of has to readjust to a new target. Figo shooting shots well, but what happens? He's always the same target, so it's easy for Morales to keep chasing him. He doesn't see anything new. If you give him something different to check out, like a different level, a feint, something that offset the pressure, even for an instant here, an instant there, you can pick him off while he's coming forward.
A step around, a level change, all those little maneuvers.
All you need is Morales' pressure to flinch for an instant, and you can pick him off with some shots. Otherwise, he puts you on flight a lot of times, which in some moments is what has happened here.
Also, another thing, you don't get the sense that any one shot from Gonzalez is affecting Morales. Yes, he's hitting him a lot, but he hasn't frozen him in his tracks yet, hasn't really gotten his respect with his punching power.
No, yes, I agree. It seems that, even though he's only got 1 KO, it seems like Morales is the guy who has more of the heavier punches.
Nice shots here. Then Morales switching that hook off the jab nicely.
Chris, you're always saying look past the numbers when it comes to Luis Morales. 9-4-1. Yeah, throw that right out the window. This is a tough fighter.
9-4-1 with 1 KO. Yeah. This guy came to fight.
You know why we say look past the numbers? Because on ProBox, that's what happens.
Yeah. It's exactly what happens.
Can't trust the numbers coming out of Vegas. Can't trust the numbers at the records here.
Ooh, good right hand. Morales landed a good one. Gonzalez landing back, putting pressure of his own against the ropes.
Very good response here from Gonzalez to back Morales up and let those combinations go along the ropes. This is awesome. Fight back and forth.
They're setting the bar pretty high in our first fight of the night, gentlemen. Oh, thudding body shot. We felt that ringside.
Heavy shots.
Ten seconds left as one outstanding round number 5.
Beautiful defense there from Figo.
Wow. Gentlemen, I'll tell you right now, we're starting round number 6, the final round. I want to see 10 between these guys.
Yeah.
This has been an amazing fight.
They might drop. They fight till they drop if they go 10 though.
One more to go. This is the 6th and final round.
Fast paced. I can't believe we're in the 6th round already.
Fans who have shown up early here at the Boeing Center getting a treat. The first fight of the night. Into the corner of Figo Gonzalez, La Máquina. There is Luis Morales out of Morelos, Texas. I'm sorry, Mexico. It looks like they have plenty of energy for round number 6. And here we go, 6th and final round. I would have Figo Gonzalez slightly up on the scorecards. I don't think either fighter can afford to let round number 6 go.
Yeah, I don't think these guys know how to
Wouldn't matter what the scorecards
sit on their laurels.
Certainly also wouldn't rule out a draw if Morales is able to finish strong. Oh, good body shot.
That was one of the better shots from Figo tonight. Good little sneaky left hook right through the middle. Good stab jab as well.
Figo trying to impose himself physically in this last round. And here comes Morales, just when we say that.
Fighter out of Dallas, Texas, Figo Gonzalez showing his heart. Not just his skill, but so is Morales. Beautiful left hook over the top.
This is a really good, action-packed, back-and-forth, competitive fight.
And Morales punching a little bit arm weary now, though. Maybe those body shots again to him.
They have been thudding from Gonzalez throughout this fight. This is about when you start feeling that body work.
Yeah, it seems like the intensity from Gonzalez is starting to wear on Morales here in the last round.
Not for lack of trying, though, Morales. He's still giving it a go.
Teenager,
Figo Gonzalez looking a little sharper, a little bit more loosened on defense as well.
Ooh, nice right hand.
Yeah, just as Figo was throwing the uppercut, you get caught with a right hand by Morales.
Are they driving now? They're over 60 now? Oh, no. Oh, in that car. That car. They're having dinner. If you get them at least once or twice a week, you boys got to sit down so we can sit down and have dinner. That's important. Even for an hour.
Morales living up to the nickname you see on him, Iron Boy, in the front of his shorts.
Iron Boy and La Maquina, right?
Yep.
The Machine and the Iron Boy.
Both men living up to the nickname tonight.
Yeah, leaving it
10
all
seconds left to go.
These guys punched the whole 6 rounds. It's crazy.
What an incredible fight. 6 rounds. Man, Figo Gonzalez did not let up.
Nice way
Nor
warm,
did Luis Morales.
warm right into things, right, guys?
Yes.
What a fight.
Great stuff.
What a fight.
I got to say, Luis Morales, one of those guys I want to see back on ProBox TV, win or lose. That was a great performance.
100%. 100%. We're going to see him again. Well, gentlemen, the bar is set very high tonight.
Started out banging. Let's take a look at some of that action, Chris.
So his body shot a second ago from Figo, backed up Morales to the ropes. And that was the right hand that Morales landed when Figo was going for the right hand uppercut.
Good exchanges back and forth throughout. Both these guys are putting it all on the line. Both of these guys are probably going to feel like they won the fight.
Their hands might hurt too, right?
Yeah. And look at that nickname, Iron Boy. I believe, look at this guy's face.
Yeah,
he went to war, not a mark on him, went to war for 6 rounds.
Sometimes later, though, you get some monster.
Yeah. Like a little nick turns into some huge black and blue the next day.
But the one thing about Figo Gonzalez saying he wants to move up, I don't know if I'd recommend that tonight. Fought a bigger guy, and you saw the difference.
Yeah.
Lupe Contreras, make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, after going all 6 rounds inside the ProBox TV ring, the official scorecard reads as follows. Damas y caballeros, después de completar las 6 vueltas, esta es la decisión oficial. El juez Esperón anotó 58-56 a favor de Ramírez. Judge Esperón called it 58-56 in favor of Ramírez. La juez Cárdenas anotó 58-56 a favor de Alvarado. Judge Cárdenas scores it 58-56 in favor of Alvarado. Y el juez Weaver anotó 57-57. Judge Weaver scores it 57-57. This bout is even a draw. Este combate es declarado un empate.
Okay, book it for 8.
Bring him back on the next one.
Jimmy, you called it. You said I can see a draw. You absolutely right. I'm not mad about that scorecard at all.
The 2 last names.
And I mentioned the other last name, but gentlemen, I'm not seeing anybody upset I don't see anybody yelling, screaming about this draw.
No.
This was a close fight.
No, and it was actually one of those fights where if somebody does win it, the other guy might get aggravated thinking he won the fight, you know?
It's one of those. Well, all we can say is, hey, boss, if you're watching this fight, love to see this one in an 8-rounder to see if they, if fatigue would start becoming a factor. The activity level's so high for 6 rounds, Paul.
Sometimes you need a couple extra rounds to separate the two guys,
yeah.
you know?
But also, I mean, bring these guys back, put them higher on the card, get more of a fan base in here, because these guys are going to put on epic fights no matter what.
Absolutely incredible performance in our opening fight tonight here on ProBox TV. Figo Gonzalez versus Luis Morales is called a split draw. That is how this one ends, but outstanding performance from both fighters. Hopefully we get an 8-rounder too next time we see them. But more action to come as our future stars continue here on ProBox TV. Contender Series follows. Stay with us.
World-ranked super middleweight contender Lester Martinez continues his quest towards a world title when he clashes with Frenchman Pierre de Bombay in a 10-round main event. Also on the card, the all-action southpaw Vladimir Hernandez from nearby Stockton looks to continue his 3-fight winning streak against Francisco Verón at the Save Mart Center on July 12th in Fresno, California.
Lester Martinez, the hard-hitting super middleweight. You'll see him in Fresno, California, Save Mart Center. It's going to be an outstanding night of fights. Vladimir Hernandez, if you like fights like the one you just saw, all action, nobody stepping back, that's Vladimir Hernandez every time.
Yeah, I've yet to see a Vladimir Hernandez fight that didn't entertain. There are certain guys that you just can't miss. Every time you watch them fight, you're guaranteed to be entertained and guaranteed to make boxing look good if you tell your friends, hey, watch this fight with me.
And you can say the same thing about Lester Martinez. He's never in a bad fight.
Yeah. Just sometimes they're a little short.
Yeah, they give me a little short.
Yeah, thunder in both hands. You see Pedro Pinillo from Cali, Colombia. Paulie, you called it. I'm not saying you jinxed it. I'm just saying you said, hey, this guy can crack. 6 wins, 5 knockouts.
Saying he still got it, right?
Saying he still got it. Still has power. Also a decorated amateur in Colombia. But his opponent, Emilio Garcia from nearby Laredo, Texas. Chris, when we talk about swagger, and my God, what must it be like to be young again? This kid embodies that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had him in the fighter meetings. He was a joy. He was fun. He was having a good time. In terms of his performance, and he said last time out he wanted to do better, which is good. That's what you want to have in a young fighter. But I'm curious to see what kind of adjustments he's made, especially now that he's in there with what we call a puncher.
Yeah,
he's got 5 KOs and 6 wins.
Exactly. Emilio Garcia, only 22 years old. You see the height advantage, but the reach advantage for Pinillo. Can the Colombian make it a factor? Lupe Contreras, get us started. Second fight of the night.
We continue with the action inside the Boeing Center at
Bring this down, take this down,
This
Coach.
is ProBox TV.
You can keep him on him when he call out his name.
Two hands. And Wild Casino. This contest 6 rounds or less. In the welterweight division, este duelo a 6 vueltas en la división peso welter. Los jueces, the judges, Wilfredo Esperón, Rafael Ramos y Nexus Novoa. Presentando la esquina azul, vestido de azul con dorado, introducing the blue corner, wearing blue with gold trim, su peso oficial, 142 libras y media, his official weight, 142.5 pounds. Este peleador con golpe de grueso calibre entra al cuadrilátero por 17ª vez a nivel profesional con 6 victorias, 10 derrotas, 5 de sus victorias por la vía del knockout. Tonight, this high-powered power puncher enters the ring for the 17th time as a pro with 6 victories against 10 losses, 5 of those victories coming by way of knockout. De Cali, Colombia, Pedro Buffalo Pinillo. En la esquina opuesta, in the opposite corner, vestido de morado con rojo, he steps in wearing purple with red trim. His official weight, 145.75 pounds, su peso oficial, 145 libras y 3 cuartos. Esta noche, ante un oponente altamente experimentado, sube por segunda vez a nivel profesional con una victoria y un knockout tonight against a highly experienced opponent. He enters for the 2nd time as a pro with 1 victory and 1 KO. De Laredo, Texas, Emilio Mano Garcia. our referee, Mark Calloy.
All right, gentlemen, we've already gone over the rules in the dressing room. I want you to obey my commands at all times. Most importantly, protect yourself at all times. These trunks are a little low, so right here and above will be legal. Right here and above will be legal. Choke and want this, touch gloves. Let's go to work, gentlemen.
Only his second fight. Emilio Garcia said his pro debut was a blur. Seemed to go by before I knew what was going on. He's going to try to slow it down tonight. Talked about enjoying the process. Can you do that against a puncher from Colombia? That is the question. We begin round number 1. Emilio Garcia in the purple and red. His opponent, Benio, looks like the black and gold.
Fighting
Dark blue and gold.
Southpaw position as well as Benio, the Colombian. Yeah, Benio started his career 5-0 with 5 KOs. And most of his losses have been to undefeated fighters.
And then that's it. That was it for the KOs.
That was, oh, we just got rocked. Benio just got rocked.
Immediately hurts.
I guess Garcia taking the approach that, hey, put the puncher on his back foot, so maybe he's not as big of a puncher, right?
Smart. Very, very smart.
He's working so far. Another big right hand. Benio off balance.
Oh, yeah, that left hook is bothering him.
But, man, he's winging those right hands.
Heavy, heavy shots.
Benio with a veteran move, clinching to get a little bit of a break. Benio has to land something to get the young man's respect, because right now, Garcia absolutely all over him.
I like the way Garcia's trying to boss this fight, though. You know, he's only his second pro fight. He's got a guy with, you know, many more pro fights than him. Good knockout record according to his wins. And still Garcia unintimidated, looking to back him up.
Good left hands. Nice looping left hook. Decorated amateur is Garcia, and so far it's translated well into his pro career.
Nice jab there. Doubled it up. Followed up with the right hand.
Looks like Benio has Oh, I was about to say, it looks like he recovered, and bam, beautiful body shot. And Benio on his knee. Up at 8, but that's going to linger.
Yeah, and also you're getting overwhelmed. You know, starting to get hurt now, and can't get this young kid off you. You know, that's the thing about that youth energy there.
Oh, but Benio's punching back now.
And Emilio Garcia right now chasing down his man. No respect for the punching power of the Colombian.
Good body work again there. Both hands digging right and left hands to the body is Garcia.
Benio missing a bunch too here, which also can make him tired on top of all the punches he's been taking.
10 seconds left to go in round number 1, and Garcia looking just about flawless so far. Well, if there were any nerves from his second pro fight, Garcia not showing any so far tonight.
Now looking supremely confident in his skill set, his power, his strength, his chin as well. He's fighting a guy who can punch, but he's giving him no respect.
Look at this display of power.
Nice chopping overhand right hand there. And we're going to see that straight right hand right to the solar plexus, the lead reaction shot.
And that looks like nothing, but man, it gets you in the right spot. It gets you while you're exhaling. It's in the solar plexus. And it's got good snap on it, which all of Garcia's punches had in that round. I mean, you end up getting that result.
Benio taking his time, getting off the stool, and I don't blame him after round number 1, but Garcia right now chomping at the bit. Get back in there. Oh, thudding body punches. You could wear out a punch counter tonight so far in our first 2 fights. Am I wrong, man? Both fighters.
That's that youth energy, man.
Notice the head positioning of Garcia, man. Doing a really nice job of getting his head offline with each shot, both left hands and right hands, staying off that center line just like that. Beautiful, beautiful work there. Very well schooled as this young man.
Well, when you won just about every amateur tournament in the United States, plus a lot of success internationally, you got the confidence, Chris. I mean, he's been successful at every level, now moving on to the pros.
He wears it in every way. I mean, and look at him, 22 years old. Look at the legs on this guy. Like I don't know how long he's going to be at welterweight.
Already talking about moving up to 154. This was at a catch weight of 150, so yeah, this young man's just all muscle.
Yeah,
just targeting the body consistently. You know, he's scored that knockdown.
Beautiful left hand as well. Panillo has to find a way back into this fight.
Panillo cannot get any respect right now.
No. He's not a puncher off his back foot.
And I think you called it right in the beginning, Chris. I think he's keeping the puncher on that back foot.
Oh, body shot.
Another body shot hurt him, yep.
Can't set up, can't throw with power.
The thing, man, he's bossing the fight right now, and down he goes again.
Second knockdown. Round number 2, and the fighter from Colombia getting overwhelmed.
7, 8, 9.
Oh, he's
Then he's staying down. He had seen enough.
Overwhelmed is the right word, Jimmy. He just could not get a break, and he knew if I stand up, it's just going to be more of this overwhelming hurricane of this young kid who just won't stop.
And you got to know, taking on Emilio Garcia, he's not going to slow down.
Yeah, impressive win. Again, this is a 16, 17 fight veteran here.
Yeah.
And he only in your second pro fight.
Yeah, impressive. Showed a lot of maturity in there tonight. Physical strength, get a guy in front of him that was a little awkward, that was a little tricky, and he still wore him down and got him out of there in 2 rounds. Also, not headhunting with a guy who's a little tricky, southpaw.
Yeah. Here's the end of the fight. Good right hand to the chin there. I think this was just overwhelming. I think he was hurt with a body a few seconds before this. But either way, it was just the overwhelming. Just nowhere to go for Panillo. He couldn't fight his way out of trouble. Couldn't run his way out of trouble. Couldn't hold his way out of trouble because Garcia kept pushing the issue. And that was it. That's why he took that count.
Just relentless. Relentless work from that young man right there. Emilio Garcia.
Looking absolutely outstanding so far in his young pro career. 2-0, 2 knockouts. Incredibly one-sided, and it was a lot of power punches from Garcia.
Body shots.
Body shots 13-3, an absolute wipeout. Man, Garcia looking so impressive in just his second pro fight.
You know, not super active with the jab, or at least not very accurate with the jab, but pretty accurate with the power punches. 31% of your power shots. Good work.
Outstanding performance. He rolls on. Lupe Contreras. Make it official.
Inside the ProBox TV ring, referee Mark Calloy reaches the count of 10 with an official time of 1 minute 40 seconds of round number 2. Dentro del cuadrilátero de ProBox TV, el referee Mark Calloy completa el conteo de 10 con un tiempo oficial de 1 minuto 40 segundos del segundo episodio. Declaring the winner by way of knockout, declarando el vencedor por knockout. Still undefeated from Laredo, Texas, Emilio Mano Garcia.
Emilio Garcia couldn't have looked much more impressive. A second-round knockout after the second knockdown of the fight. Great aggression, great power. I agree with you, gentlemen. I don't see him at 147 much longer with that frame. He's a decent-sized 154-pounder, gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, at 22 years of age, he's still growing. You know, he's filled in nicely as he's turned pro. 54 will be a good home for him. Maybe even 160 one day. Yeah.
Well, that is the future. In the present, he is an undefeated fighter, 2-0. Pedro Panillo, as we said, 6 wins, 5 of them by knockout. His power, Paulie, in that fight, just a non-factor. Could never get respect.
Well, he never got on the front foot. You know, a lot of times punchers are not the same on the back foot, and Garcia took the approach to back him up from the first moment of the fight and wouldn't stop until the fight was stopped.
That youthful enthusiasm, high punch count, incredible activity for the young fighter from Laredo, Texas. He was getting so much love from the crowd here. We were chanting his name. So much support here. He said he drove about an hour to get here. Incredible stuff from him. This idea that his future looking extremely bright right now as he goes out and hugs the fans. But, man, this is what you want in a kid, man. Yeah. Good-looking, articulate, exciting. He's excited about the sport, and he can hurt you with either hand, Paulie.
Yeah, exciting in the way he fights. I mean, he can hurt you with either hand. Like you said, good-looking kid. And he's a good pleasure to speak to. Yesterday we spoke to him. Good conversation. And a fun style doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, a fun style and also an all-action kind of fight. And one thing I said about these two fights, that was our second fight of the night. Whoever's keeping the punch counting, your thumb's going to get tired watching these guys. Everybody very, very active, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're in Texas, baby. There's going to be a lot of punches thrown tonight. Nobody's having any feel-out rounds here tonight. Everybody's going right to work.
Everything's big here, right?
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Punch counts are big, too.
Well, speaking of punch counts, also, how about punching power? John Mindoro, of course, on our Contender Series card, undefeated, 13-0, 13 wins by knockout. Let's find out a little bit about him. You can hear him in his own words.
I mean, so far he's answered, every challenge, and he's been dominant. And I mean, it's having that big a Filipino. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people understand this, but either Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, and Filipinos, as soon as they've got a guy that's 54 bigger, they get real excited. So this guy's got a chance to become an absolute star if he keeps doing what he's doing. So we'll just keep rolling him out and putting him to these tests and see how he does. He was in Dubai in a very tough match against an Aussie that we're a little bit nervous about at the end of last year. And he came through that with flying colors. You guys, I'm not sure if you guys saw that one.
Yeah.
But so very excited about him. And I want to go back to Moreno for a second.
Please.
I didn't like what happened against Cesar Francis. I have never seen him, and I'm going to ask the experts because we didn't talk about this, and again, I need an explanation. Every time we saw this guy fight, he's just pure motor. He comes out and he just throws and he throws and he throws. And then for 4 rounds, maybe 5, he did nothing. Could you guys explain why he did nothing? I was sitting at home watching, and I'm going, what's going on here? And then finally, when he decided to step on the gas and start throwing, he landed, he found him, he hurt him.
Yeah, he had to
stop it.
He had to get comfortable in finding range. Francis is a big guy, was playing with range a lot. It's I think it's something that a lot of times people don't understand. When there's a guy who's busy, he cannot be busy if he's not gonna be able to negotiate range. And fighters that negotiate range very well, I understand this because I was the guy who always negotiated range, and I can remember my fight with Juan Diaz. Everybody's saying, well, Paulie's not going to be able to hold him off because Juan throws way too many punches and Paulie doesn't punch. Well, if you negotiate range, you have to, the fighter who presses and throws all those punches, that's the first to negotiate the range in order to be able to throw those punches.
And we are ringside. Jimmy Smith alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. You saw it there. John Mindoro, 13-0, and as the boss, Gary Jonas, said, when you have a group like the Philippines, we all know about Manny Pacquiao, his popularity there. Also, he's heavy for the Philippines. It's a special thing. They've got a guy this big. He isn't just big, Chris. He can knock you out. With either hand in a division that is usually above most Filipino fighters.
Scary knockouts. We just saw those clips. He's laying guys out with their heads are bouncing off the canvas. The kind of knockouts where we're calling the fight and we're like, whoa, is this guy okay? He's got that scary lights out one punch power.
Yeah, Paul, you talk about scary too. When we were talking to him about his opponent, who is also undefeated, he went, I've taken on 3 undefeated guys. I've laid them all out.
Yeah.
He acted like this is another day at the office.
Well, you know what? When you continue to be stepped up and you continue to impress, you just demand that you keep getting stepped up, right? So your arrival to world-class level is that much faster, because everybody's goal is to get to a world-class level, is to be known on the world scene and to, shock the champions, to be known by the champions, to be known by the big-level contenders and be on their mind as well, and especially be on the big TV networks as well. So if every time you're being stepped up, you win and win impressively, well, you just keep forcing the hand of the matchmakers and say, well, you know what, he's too good for this level. We've got to raise him up again. So we're going to continue to watch the progress of Mindoro, but so far he's been exciting and he's been very effective and he's been destructive.
Yeah, but one thing about combat sports, period, is across the board, you get addicted to having power. You get addicted to using power. A lot of times, you can lose to a guy who isn't worried about power, who can kind of outbox you and make you rely on your other skills. If you're Omar Munguia and his team is that what you're relying on tonight? Stay away from the power, make it a boxing match.
I don't know. I mean, he's a puncher as well, so he might want to trade. He's also a Mexican fighter. He's from Jalisco, Mexico. So I don't know if he's going to go out there and look to outbox a punching Filipino. He's probably going to want to punch with him.
And it's this idea that gives us a great fight. But what do you want to see? You talk about that next level. You talk about, the room he might be in very, very soon. He was getting ready for Resendiz. Resendiz ended up fighting Caleb Plant.
Yeah.
That's a huge step up. What do you want to see to make sure he's ready for that level?
Well, Resendiz wasn't the step up until we realized he beat Caleb Plant, and then he was a step up.
Exactly.
So, Mendora wants that opportunity. He wants the opportunity, the same opportunity Resendiz got, where it's like, oh, give me a shot at one of the world-class level guys, and I'll show that I can handle them. I'll show that I belong on that level. And all he has to do is keep winning impressively. It'll come sooner. If you keep winning impressively, you basically force the hand of everybody. You say, okay, well, this guy's too good at this level. It's a waste of time to keep him at this level. We've got to keep raising the stakes, and you end up raising the stakes to world-class level. Mendora, like I said, he's been destructive. He's been fun to watch. And tonight, I'm very curious because he got a hungry, undefeated guy in front of him who's got an ex-world champion in the corner, Alejandro Gonzalez. So he's got veteran mind, a veteran mind and a championship mind in his corner, and he himself has that undefeated mindset. So I'm curious about the way Mendora looks tonight, because if tonight he can impress, I think it goes a long way.
Well, speaking of steps up, Emiliano Moreno from Long Beach, we saw the last time against Cesar Francis, a guy who had fought at the world level. Had some trouble with that fight, ended up starting a little bit late, got a stoppage that we all thought ringside was incredibly controversial, but in a sense, it took the win away from both guys because Cesar Francis had an early stoppage, cost him the fight. Emiliano Moreno getting booed when he won the fight. He was starting to turn things around. I'm curious to see what he's learned in between fights. Is that the key tonight to you, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke to him about that. He said, I'm just going to start faster. I got to start faster. We heard Gary Jonas, our CEO of ProBox TV, say that. He's like, I didn't see the guy punch for 4 or 5 rounds. He can't be that. With Moreno, he's either switch on, all the way on, or he's off. He starts very, very slow. Once he gets going, though, I mean, you can't stop him. He's like a burning building. But he can kind of fall asleep early on in a fight. If he does that tonight with a very, very scrappy Erick Bone, he's going to fall behind in this fight and have to have another situation like last time where he's going to come from behind to score a knockout victory.
Yeah, Bonet, one of those guys. You fought him. Yep. You know how tough he is. He's a veteran guy, very, very tricky. I called when he fought Showtime Sean Porter. He got
on a day's notice.
On a day's notice. I was about to say it. He got on a plane, fought, gave him, by the way, one hell of a fight.
Yep.
Right. It's this idea that he knows this is his last opportunity at the elite level. A veteran guy with motivation, Paulie, can be very dangerous.
Well, you know what? You take a page out of what he looked at with Porter. With Porter, he took it on a day's notice. He said, I got nothing to lose. Let me just go for it. Could we see that kind of mentality tonight, or is he a little bit past it? Is he a little bit too old? Could he be the same mentality tonight where it's like, I got a young phenom in front of me who's supposed to beat me. Let me just go for it. Let me just shoot these guns, and you can't take your punches home with you. And this fly wants to be in the action as well. But we're going to get him out of there. But that's sort of my curiosity about Bonet. What kind of mindset is Bonet going to show up in? Because Bonet's a tactical guy. But against Porter, he's like, I took this on one day's notice. What am I looking to go 12? No, I'm going to go shoot my guns and see what I got. He may have the same mindset tonight. At his age, he may say, can I go this many rounds at my age? Do my legs have the strength to go that many rounds against a young phenom at this age? Or should I just try to shoot as many guns as possible, right? Or shoot as many bullets as possible early on and see if I can hurt him, get his respect, slow down the pace, or even get him out of there?
Gunslingers get shot, though. Gunslingers get shot.
But it's fun watching them.
Yes, it is.
It is very, very fun to watch. And next, of course, our main card is about to start. Our Contender Series, our main event, Michael Angeletti versus Eros Correa. 28 combined fights, just 1 loss. Stay with us right here on ProBox TV. Contender Series about to kick off. Welcome into ProBox TV. You see the skyline of San Antonio, Texas, known for its Riverwalk. And, of course, everyone remembers the Alamo. Another thing to keep in mind, it is a great fight town. That's right, San Antonio, Texas is where it's going down right now inside the Boeing Center. Our main card, Ruben Aguilar, taking on Yusuf Kinda. Kinda well-traveled. Talk about boxing tonight because Ruben Aguilar, a power puncher, 22 wins, 19 of those wins by a knockout. It's going to be a hell of an opener in the welterweight division. Moving on up in the middleweights, Weljon Mindoro taking on Omar Munguia. Both fighters undefeated. Weljon Mindoro, 13 wins, 13 by knockout. 13 have tried, 13 have ended up face down, but Omar Munguia, power puncher himself, 8 wins, 6 big wins by knockout. Someone's O is going tonight. And in our co-main event, 10 rounds in the welterweight division, Emiliano Moreno, the young man from Long Beach, California, 12-0, 7 wins by knockout. Erick Bonet, a veteran, fought the man next to me, Chris Algieri, fought Showtime Sean Porter. He says, this is my last opportunity at greatness. 29-7, 15 wins by knockout. He knows he needs a great performance tonight. In our main event, Michael Angeletti, 13-0, taking on Eros Correa, 15-1. That one lost to Akatsuki, a fighter who has fought on ProBox TV. He is a puzzle. He says, losing to him taught me so much more than the undefeated record of Angeletti. Welcome inside the Boeing Center, Jimmy Smith, alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. Our main event, Justin Pauldo not making weight. So Angeletti versus Eros Correa becomes our main event. And Chris, there was a little bit of, I think this is a great main event. We may have upgraded. Both these guys talked about volume. They talked about accuracy. They talked about outboxing the other. They're young and they're hungry.
Listen, we're all excited for Justin Pauldo, but I said it. When that fight fell out and this one stepped up, like, actually, this one might be a more entertaining fight. This scrap between these two young guys is probably going to be a lot more action-packed, a lot more competitive. So, as usual, ProBox TV has loads and loads of talent all up and down the card. So if a fight falls out, a new main event comes up, and oftentimes it will be better than what was expected.
Yeah, last time around, Angeletti, right in this building against Judy Flores, an awkward fighter, had a little bit of trouble kind of finding him early, but when he landed that body shot, Paulie, it was brutal.
It was brutal, and it was the end of the fight, right? I mean, that's as quickly as Angeletti can turn the momentum around. Tonight with Correa, Correa can also make things a little bit difficult. He can make things a little bit awkward for Angeletti. Angeletti, tall, has a really fluid style, but at times can be a bit thrown off, as we saw in the last fight. Can Correa take advantage of that? Because, Correa coming off that loss with Akatsuki, claims that it got him better. It got him, the experience of a fight like that can make you better if it doesn't break you. And, you don't see Correa getting broken. He didn't get stopped like that, right? So
it was a majority decision. It was a close fight.
It's a situation where he can take that experience and put it on Angeletti, because has Angeletti had that kind of experience yet? He doesn't have the loss like Correa, but has he stepped up like that? Well, maybe this is tonight is Angeletti's big step up.
Well, let's talk about steps up when it comes to Emiliano Moreno. He had a step up last time against Cesar Francis, a veteran guy who had been at the world-class level. Had a slow start, was, behind in that fight, got a stoppage that none of us agreed with, but he said, hey, man, I got to bounce back and be better. Can he tonight?
You know what? He's going to have to. Again, they say you're only as good as your last fight. Okay, he got the win, but he wants to get to a point where he's impressing everyone consistently, and he can be that prospect.
If he shows up the same way he did against Francis, he'll lose tonight.
Yeah.
Because Erick Bowen is a very, very crafty, veteran guy who's been around the block. He knows how to fight.
And that's the thing, champ. At this point now, you're not only when you're winning, but you're also being stepped up in level of opposition consistently now. Because now you're starting to come out in terms of being more known. And so the demand is for you to keep stepping up. So are you going to be ready for these constant step-ups?
Yeah, and that is the question. Bonet, of course, taking on Showtime Sean Porter's 1 day's notice. I called that fight for BBC. You fought Erick Bonet yourself. Talk about how much you had to box to keep this guy off you. Very, very tough.
Yeah, well, I actually spent a lot of time in the gym sparring with him, leading up, actually, a couple months before we actually fought each other. So we knew each other quite well, and I knew how crafty he was, and I knew how he was good at setting traps, how he's very good at controlling the space, the pace, everything in the ring. And so with me, I got busy on him. I got busy so I could outwork him, get him in a position where he wasn't comfortable setting up those traps. Well, I'm wondering if Moreno can do that, if he can start fast enough, early enough.
Only this guy prepares for fights by sparring with the opponent.
He does two things. He runs 50 miles a day, right? And he spars with the guy he's supposed to fight. Yeah, but this this idea that he needs to step up. That is going to be a theme tonight. Let's take a look at our first fight of our Contender Series tonight. When it comes to the tail of the tape, what do the numbers tell us? Let's take a look at it. Ruben Aguilar versus Eros Correa. Correa from Burkina Faso, 37 years old. His opponent, 24, much younger. But does he have the veteran savvy at 37 to hold off a 6'1" man with a 1-inch reach advantage? Lupe Contreras, get us started.
We continue with the action inside of the Boeing Center at Techport. This is ProBox TV, being presented to you by Bet Online along with Wild Casino. This contest, 8 rounds or less in the welterweight division. Este duelo a una distancia de 8 vueltas, división peso welter. Los jueces son, the judges are Wilfredo Esperón, Rafael Ramos, and Jenny Cárdenas. Introducing first, the fighter in the blue corner. He enters wearing white with black trim, presentando la esquina azul, vestido de blanco con vivos negros. Detuvo la báscula a un peso oficial de 146 libras y media. He tipped the scales at an official 146.5 pounds. En su 28º combate a nivel profesional, con 20 victorias, 7 derrotas, 9 de sus victorias por la vía del cloroformo. Tonight, he enters the ProBox TV ring for the 28th time as a pro, with 20 victories. Against 7 losses, 9 of those victories coming by way of KO. Representing his homeland of Burkina Faso, West Africa, and now fighting out of the Bronx, New York, Yusuf, the King Volcano Kinda. In the red corner, en la esquina roja, vestido de negro con vivos color rosa. He steps in wearing black with pink trim. He weighed in at an identical 146.5 pounds. Marcó un peso idéntico de 146 libras y media. Esta noche entra a la zona del peligro. El cuadrilátero de ProBox TV con un récord invicto de 22 victorias, un empate, 19 de sus victorias por la vía del knockout. Tonight, he steps into the danger zone. The ProBox TV ring with an undefeated record of 22 victories. One bout even, 19 of those victories coming by way of knockout. Puro Ensenada, Baja California, Mexico. Ruben Aguilar. Our referee, Sincere Hill.
Right here and up and it's good. Right here and up is good. Gentlemen, went over the rules in the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Touch your gloves. Let's get to work, fellas.
We are ready to get underway. That's right, scheduled for 8 rounds in the welterweight division. Eros Correa out of West Africa, training out of the Bronx, New York. Gentlemen, you know the gyms he was training at. Says he sparred all over the world to get ready for this.
Actually, no, Eros Correa quite well. He was coming up around the same time I was. We have a couple of common opponents. He's a good, stylish boxer.
And that's what he talked about when we talked about this fight. He said, I'm not going to meet this guy with power. I have to outbox him. He knows he's not a power puncher.
No, he's the kind of guy who likes to keep it long, use that jab, work behind that, drop the right hands from a distance, control the outside.
His opponent, Ruben Aguilar, his father was also his trainer, trained in Tijuana with Erick Morales. Lots of pressure because guys come forward in that gym all the time. You got to learn to deal with physical pressure. Pretty much every gym in Tijuana, especially working with El Terrible.
Yeah, it's
That's the
interesting.
style you got to deal with.
It's interesting because you got a veteran like Kinda. He's not going to be looking to come forward too much. You know, he's going to be looking to pick his spots and sort of try to old man it and beat you in those tactical moments and try to pick you off. But ultimately, it's going to be up to Aguilar to really bring the pace of the older Kinda.
Now, we hear that all the time from you. We know what you mean, but explain to our audience old manning it. What do you mean by that?
Well, old manning
in the
it's
context
an
of this
expression I stole from the Brits because the Brits like to use that expression. So when I was working in England, they used to use it in Dave Caldwell, the trainer, used to use that expression, and when he was commentating, and I asked him about it. And basically, it's when you're older, you don't fight all 3 minutes of the round. You know how to take a walk here, take a walk there, pick off, score a couple of shots, be defensively responsible, slow the action, and win the rounds. And before you know it, the young man who was in the ring with you lost the round without even realizing the round ended. You kind of dog walked them through it. But sometimes youth energy can overtake that old manning it. When a young man brings too much pace, it is impossible to old man it. And that's going to be up to Aguilar to just bring the pace and not let Kinda's veteran tactics carry the slower pace.
Aguilar, the power puncher right now, fighting at a very measured pace in this opening round. Oh, good right hand! Just as we were talking about pace, the power.
It's crazy as Kinda landed the rain, too.
Yeah, Kinda jumped in.
Jumped right into a big shot. He's down in round number 1.
See, that's why I don't trust punch stats, because you see, I was looking at Kinda's right hand. I didn't even see him get hit, because I would have thought Kinda landed the right hand, but then Kinda went down.
Dropped him.
So Kinda got
beautiful right hand counter.
Just before that sequence happened, I was saying that Kinda, who wants to box on the outside, is going to have some trouble tonight. He's got a guy who's taller and longer, and younger. He's going to have to get inside. You saw him leaping in with that right hand. That's why he got caught.
Oh, my God. Body shot right in front of us.
That could be it.
Yeah.
Kinda's not getting up from this one. And that is it. Round number 1.
2 knockdown performance. Very impressive. And that's what I'm talking about when the young man says, nah, we're not going to have any of this old manning and stuff. We're going to take it to you and make it uncomfortable for you.
He almost did, though. He almost let him old man it. And then he
was old manning it until he wasn't.
He was old manning it until he got dropped. And then
what did Teddy Atlas tell us about skinny guys? Beware, they can punch.
Yeah. It's true.
That's his 20th KO. 23-0-1 with 20
That body
KOs.
shot was wicked, but I want to see the first right hand that dropped him, because I saw Kinda. I didn't see the...
Both the shots were sneaky. Very, very good.
I didn't see him get hit, because I was watching Kinda land the right hand, and then I all of a sudden it was Kinda that went down.
I think they both landed good right hands at the same time, but Aguilar's was obviously harder and cleaner.
Aguilar having an emotional moment in the corner. Talked about how hard he worked to get ready for this fight. And gentlemen, we've all been there, man. That dump at the end of the whole sparring, it all hits you that it's over and you got the win. He's earned those tears 100%. All right, let's see if we can catch that first knockdown, Paulie. Let's see if you can see it. You have it in slow-mo.
See, Kinda's going to attack, and Kinda's actually going to throw a pretty good right hand right there.
Boom.
But yeah, he walked into it, yeah. And you see Aguilar was planted, and he shoots it. But you see Kinda lands a right hand too. It's just the better right hand is by Aguilar. Oh, it's the body shot, yeah. That was a really nice body shot, placed well under the elbow.
Catch those ribs right in the middle of your knuckles, and that is all she wrote. Great stuff. Another knockout for Ruben Aguilar. Kinda just never able to get his game plan going.
Landing a liver shot's like cracking a perfect home run. You barely feel it. It's just like it's got a perfect little feel to it.
But the person gets his, it feels imperfect. It's the worst. Lupe, make it official for our first fight of Contender Series.
Referee Sincere Hill reaches the count of 10 with an official time of 2 minutes, 55 seconds of the opening round. El referee Sincere Hill completa el conteo de 10 con un tiempo oficial de 2 minutos 55 segundos del primer episodio, declarando el vencedor por knockout, declaring the winner by way of knockout, and still undefeated, puro Ensenada, México, Rubén Aguilar.
8th fight for Kinda, and Kinda absolutely demolished in round number 2 by Ruben Aguilar. That's got to feel good if you're Aguilar, because as I said, hey, 28 fights, 28 fights. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and Aguilar himself now, a veteran, 23 wins, 20th knockout and 23 wins. He got 1 draw. Again, remember what I said before. You demand the continuous steps up if you continue to dominate when you are stepped up. So Aguilar has to be stepped up from this level. Kinda was a decent contender at one time, decent prospect at one time, but certainly not of a level that Aguilar should be fighting at. Aguilar ready for another step up.
Gentlemen, when you look at it, it's one of those things where when you look at the guys who might be in the conversation in 6 months, a year's time for title contention, after this performance, this has got to be one of the names. Aguilar looking absolutely fantastic, gentlemen.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a welterweight division that that really doesn't have a lot going on. So, Aguilar could be one of those guys that can inject some excitement into the weight class. He's a puncher. He's young. He's exciting in the way he fights. He's aggressive. The welterweight division could use some help. This guy could be one of those guys that helps it.
A 6-foot-tall welterweight who can punch. There's always room for a guy like that.
Yeah, but this idea, gentlemen, he looks so good tonight. A lot of guys might want to be like, I don't know if I fight this guy. Very, very powerful puncher. Come on. What are we talking about here? There's more to come. Mindoro versus Munguia when we come back. Michael. Welcome inside the Boeing Center. They have been treated to some amazing fights. The first one of our Contender Series ending in a knockout in round number 2. Ruben Aguilar getting it done over Yusuf Kinda. But man, so far, and if you watched the Future Stars segment of our show, it was absolutely incredible. 2 amazing fights. So far, the main card has lived up to the billing as well, but more to come, including in our co-main event, Emiliano Moreno, the young fighter from Long Beach, California, 12-0, 7 wins by knockout, had a step-up fight in Central California against Cesar Francis. His last time out ended in controversy. The good thing is that controversy can motivate. And every time we've seen Emiliano Moreno, he has talked about that ability to get better in the gym and step up. That's what you want to hear from a young man. Well, let's hear him say it in his own words. Here he is.
Man, I'm excited. I've been working hard for this camp. We've been watching my last fight. We've been improving on things. Obviously watching how Erick fights. And, we've just been adjusting a bunch of things we need to work on from the last camp. And, I feel strong. I feel ready. And I'm just excited to put on a show. We've learned to, start earlier. There's a bunch of other things we've been working on as well, but starting earlier is one of the main concerns. I feel like sometimes I take too long to start, maybe by round 3 or 4 is when I start. But we've been working on starting since the start. Round 1, we've been working on applying pressure. Throwing more punches, and I've just been seeing my last fight. Cesar Francis was a crafty guy, and he gave me some problems, but we've adjusted to that, and we've been working on it. The slow start usually comes from just being overcautious. It's good to be cautious, but sometimes when you're overcautious, it's kind of slows you down a little bit. Being overcautious, not having a good warm up, just a bunch of things that play in factor for having a slow start. And we've been working on different things, different tactics that'll wake me up earlier.
Welcome back to ringside here at the Boeing Center, San Antonio, Texas. Jimmy Smith alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. Look, in my business, I've been fortunate to have been around some great athletes. And one of the things I love asking NFL players, what's the difference between the college game and the NFL game? What's different? You know what they all say? Defensive speed. You cannot give up early points in the NFL and think you can just come back. It's not a shootout like in college where you're giving up 400 yards every time. Did Moreno learn that lesson? You can't be a slow starter in professional. You can't give up 5 rounds assuming, they're going to collapse in the back 5 rounds. They're not going to do that. Is that the lesson of Moreno's last fight, Paulo, to you?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so, because as you step up in the level of opposition, guys come with more and more of a winning mentality. Guys come with more and more with less of an opponent mentality. and guys show more and more confident that they can beat you, and they're not just there for a check. And he's stepping into that realm now, you know? I mean, even Cesar Francis, who was a little bit faded, still showed up there to win, and he was fighting to win. And you could see he was giving him trouble early on. He was taking command of the fight before Moreno finally woke up a little bit. Moreno cannot afford to give away rounds against higher and higher levels of opposition. Otherwise, he's going to risk not being able to come back, because there's no walk-off home runs that are constantly in your favor in boxing.
Yeah, exactly that idea. You can't give up points like you could when you're on your way up. It's not quite the same. So to you, a person who has shared the ring with Erick Bonet, Chris Algieri, this idea that it's the mentality of Bonet, is that the question mark? Because if he isn't showing up just for a check and really wants to revitalize his career, he's got a shot tonight.
The real question is what is left of Erick Bonet at 36 years old when he's going against this young phenom on the up and up. Can he slow down the pace? Can he set the traps? Can he get respect from Moreno early? If he does, we have a real fight and he's a real shot to win this fight. But again, we don't know what the mindset is going into this fight. He said in the fighter meeting, this is my last shot. He understands that. But what's going to happen when the bell rings? That's really where we're going to get our answers.
Is the idea also that starting late, which is really funny, you're a young kid, you've got a better gas tank. The last thing you want to do is start slow and give an older guy some confidence and let them build up. Starting fast, if we both sprint, you're going to win. You're in your 20s.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, he said he's being cautious. You know, like he doesn't want to take too many shots early on. He is an aggressive guy. He throws a lot of punches, so there are openings. So that could be the mentality. What do you think it is?
I don't know. Usually, it's interesting because usually young guys have that youth energy, and they're usually a little bit reckless defensively. But Moreno gets reckless later. He just now once he goes 100 and he throws the balls to the wall. But before that, it's almost like he's getting his bearings together. And usually that's something older guys do. Usually you got to warm up the old Cadillac. You don't have to warm up the new Cadillac. The new Cadillac just goes. We'll see tonight if Moreno has learned some lessons.
And when you see slow starters, which we have seen throughout boxing history, Floyd Mayweather notoriously a slow starter, 2 or 3 rounds, right? Like you can be a slow starter in the pros, but maybe 2 rounds, right?
I was a slow starter, and I vividly remember the Manny Pacquiao fight. You can't give a round to these guys because once they're ahead, they're going to stay ahead. They're not giving up any ground, and that's when you get to the highest levels. Guys will not give up any ground, and you're not going to be able to come from behind and get the knockout like you did last time against high-level guys. Guys don't want to get knocked out either. They're trying to win. So if you let them get ahead, they're going to stay ahead. So he's going to have to learn that lesson, and really, this is a good test for him. So a step up once again.
Yeah, and when you look at it, of course, making their ring walks right now. Weljon Mindoro out of the Philippines, 13-0, 13 wins by knockout. The man is confidence personified. His opponent, Omar Munguia, he's undefeated as well. 8-0, 6 of those wins by knockout. As I said in the open, this is not the fight, Paul. You want to go get some neat. This is not it. It's going to end at any time.
Yeah, we've seen Weljon. He's not only had knockouts, but they've been devastating knockouts, so the punching power is real. Sometimes you see some guys that get stoppages, and they're more so overwhelming guys because the level of opposition is a little bit low. We've seen Weljon have some very violent knockouts, and so, Weljon's power is real. We're going to find out how real Munguia's is, but Munguia has a veteran corner with a ex-world champion Alejandro Gonzalez in his corner. He's coming prepared, and they told us they had a very good camp and preparation from Mindoro. They understand that Mindoro is the guy everybody's watching, but when you show up with an undefeated record and you have 6 KOs and 8 wins and undefeated, you yourself are going to show up with a bit of confidence. Let's see if they can show any holes in the style of Mindoro.
Yeah, that's the difficulty, Chris. You talk about all the time. Guys at that level, they don't know how to lose, literally. It doesn't occur to them that this is going to be the one. What do you think of the 2 punchers taking one another on?
Well, also, Omar has the ability to steal the thunder of Mindoro. Everyone's looking at him. The trigger man. Everybody's looking at this guy. Hey, you knock him out. Guess what? You're the guy now. So they have to understand what this opportunity means.
Now, and what it means is that we're going to have an outstanding fight. That's right, in the middleweight division coming up next. Weljon, a triggerman Mindoro, undefeated at 13-0. Omar Munguia, undefeated at 8-0-1. It's going to be a great showdown. The middleweights, both very, very heavy hitters. Could we be seeing a future champion? That is the question. Stay with us as the Contender Series rolls on here on ProBox TV.
World-ranked super middleweight contender Lester Martinez continues his quest towards a world title when he clashes with Frenchman Pierre de Bombay in a 10-round main event. Also on the card, the all-action southpaw Vladimir Hernandez from nearby Stockton looks to continue his 3-fight winning streak against Francisco Veron at the Save Mart Center on July 12th in Fresno, California. World
This isn't on heavy hitters like Lester Martinez, right? Fresno, California. That's going on July 12th. It's going to be an absolutely outstanding fight. Lester Martinez, of course, a super middleweight, as we said, getting a ton of attention. Title opportunity in his future very, very soon. Well, guess what? The middleweights coming up, 8 rounds. Jon Mindoro versus Omar Munguia. Heavy hitters when we come back here on ProBox TV. The Contender Series rolls on tonight. Welcome back inside the Boeing Center here in San Antonio, Texas. Crowd filtering in. They've been a little bit spoiled. They've had some great fights so far. Outstanding action from the beginning. We're about to see more of it in the middleweight division. Jon Mindoro taking on Omar Munguia. But when I see Lester Martinez, of course, you saw the billboard has been fighting for us in Fresno, California. And I see some similarities between Lester Martinez and maybe Jon Mindoro, that ability to turn a punch over, Paulie. And that's what the man walking in right now, you're seeing him, Omar Munguia. He's got to deal with that power to have success tonight.
Got to deal with that power, and I think, maybe his approach is going to be fight power with power. Again, we talked about his record also shows that he's got some power in terms of his knockout percentage under his radar. So, I think it's the way you may have to fight fire with fire. You back up the puncher, maybe he's not as strong anymore.
What'd you say, Chris? Something about gunslingers get shot.
Yeah.
That's the downside of being a gunslinger, but in a sense, Munguia's going to have to find his moment.
This guy's coming out with no easy way out. What are we going to do?
I mean, come on.
Are we kidding each other? That's it.
Rocky 4, let's go. Anybody? Just us?
It's
just
hard.
the old
It
guys?
is really hard not to like this kid. I mean, look at him. He's having a grand old time. The Filipino fighting culture, which, obviously Manny Pacquiao has been the legendary star.
We used to like to walk out the Rocky stuff too, by the way.
Yeah.
Rocky, at times, he used to come out with Survivor stuff.
But he feels the weight of his country behind him. Jon Mindoro, proud Filipino fighter. A bit of athleticism there, love that. But incredible power, and at the interview, he was all business. Let's take a look at the numbers. Jon Mindoro, 25 years old. His opponent, 27. Slight height advantage for Mindoro, a slight reach advantage for Munguia. A fighter from Jalisco, Mexico, taking a fighter from the Philippines. Judging on previous fights, Mexico versus the Philippines. Always something special. Lupe, get us started in this middleweight showdown.
We continue with the action inside the Boeing Center at Techport, San Antonio, Texas. It is another edition of ProBox TV. Proudly presented by Bet Online along with Wild Casino. This contest, 8 rounds in the middleweight division. Este duelo, 8 vueltas, división peso medio. Los jueces, the judges, Charles Weaver, Jenny Cardenas, y Nexus Novoa. Presenting first, the fighter in the blue corner. He enters wearing gray with teal trim. Presentando la esquina azul, vestido de gris con azul marino, su peso oficial. 161 libras y media, his official weight, 161.5 pounds. Esta noche lo arriesga todo y pone en juego su récord invicto de 8 victorias. Un empate, 6 de sus victorias por la vía del knockout. Tonight, he risks it all, including his undefeated record of 8 victories. And one bout even, 6 of those victories coming by way of KO. De pura sangre tapatía, Guadalajara, Jalisco, México. El Bam Bam, Omar Munguia Gutierrez. Across the ring in the red corner, wearing Pinoy, red, white, blue, and gold. He weighed in At an official 162 pounds, en la esquina roja, vestido de los colores filipinos, azul, rojo, blanco y dorado. Tonight, this Pinoy power puncher puts his undefeated record on the line, consisting of 13 victories. One bout even, all 13 victories coming by way of KO esta noche. Este filipino con la mano pesada pone en juego su récord invicto de 13 victorias, un empate y todas sus 13 victorias por la vía del cloroformo. From Bacoor, Cavite, the Philippines, Weljon Triggerman Mindoro. Our referee, Angel Mendez.
Gentlemen, you were given the instructions of the dressing room. I expect nothing but a hard, clean fight. Wash your heads. Touch them up. Choque en guante.
The referee just spoke for all of us. We expect a hard, clean fight between two devastating punchers. Weljon Mindoro crossing himself before battle begins against the very, very tough Omar Munguia. Tension in the air here at the Boeing Center. And we are underway, round number 1.
Mindoro is one powerfully built middleweight, man.
He is jacked.
Yeah, all wins by knockout, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't really have a lot of feel-out rounds either. He throws power right from the start. It's going to be interesting to see how Munguia deals with it. Because, like we said, Munguia himself has pretty good punching power, and he's trying to back up Mindoro early on.
And also overhand right. Referee saying out to the back of the head.
Foul.
That's a bad place to get hit early on in a fight.
Yeah, those kind of shots can really mess with your equilibrium.
Yeah, time in. Weljon Mindoro has to watch that for the rest of the fight.
Mindoro just very, very explosive.
Yeah.
You know, he's easy, relaxed, and then boom. Very explosive, big overhand shots, big power, which is why you get those explosive, destructive knockouts that we've seen.
Weljon talked about the strength of his training camp. Sparred with Kyron Davis, Caleb Plant for his last fight. Supposed to fight Armando Resendiz. Resendiz, of course, fighting and defeating Caleb Plant. So, man, very sharp with that jab. Nice overhand from Munguia, but
Yeah, Munguia almost landed a good shot there.
Oh, body shot.
Oh, and
look at that uppercut. Down goes Munguia.
And he's hurt.
yeah,
He
twisted
is
his head.
severely hurt.
He didn't
But
see
he's
that
not
shot.
going to beat the count. That is it. Wow, a knockout in the first round for Weljon Mindoro.
He's still out of it.
Good stoppage by the referee. Didn't even bother to count all the way to 10. Stopped it, waved it off at about 8.
Another devastating knockout from Mindoro. I mean, again, he's going to keep demanding of all the matchmakers to keep stepping him up. This is a dangerous guy, an exciting guy. And this guy could become a fan favorite real quick if they get his name out there.
I think this is the first fight we might ever call that goes about 6 minutes because we've had 2 fights very, very quick. You missed it. It was Ruben Aguilar. Yusuf Kinda just destroyed him in round number 2, and now Weljon Mindoro absolutely destroying Omar Munguia in round number 1. Munguia on the stool. That was a devastating shot. The power of Weljon Mindoro on display. We will make it official when we come back here on ProBox TV. A brutal round number 1 finish. Sometimes you train for war and you get war. Sometimes you train for and you get a first-round knockout. Well, John Mindoro from the Philippines got exactly that. Thunderous first-round shot, and this is how it happened, gentlemen.
Yeah, we're going to see it's a right uppercut. And you can see the way it twists Munguia's head. That was that body shot first, and then bang, that shot right there.
And he actually threw the first one, so Munguia should have been alert to it, because there was one that whizzed by him already right before that. So you got to be alert to it as you see Mindoro whiz that first one by you. Yeah, he stayed in the same position, so what did Mindoro do? I say, you know what, I'm going to throw it again. And this one, you're going to pay for it.
A lot of times in gym, we call that a bottle cap shot. It just twists your head right off.
Oof, yeah, he did not see that punch. You can see while he was down, he was not going to get up.
Problem is, I'm not even sure he saw the first one. The first one missed him. I don't think he saw it, so don't react to the second one either.
Absolutely incredible job from John Mindoro. His undefeated streak continues now, 14-0, 14 knockouts. Not just who can beat him. You can go the distance with this kid. Lupe, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout comes to a sudden and dramatic end with an official time of 1 minute 28 seconds of the opening round. Damas y caballeros, este combate concluye de forma dramática con un tiempo oficial de 1 minuto 28 segundos del primer episodio. El vencedor por knockout, your winner by way of knockout, still undefeated, the Trigger Man, John Mindoro.
Gentlemen, when we talk about divisions that need a shot of fresh blood, usually we're talking about 147 pounds, but middleweight, a storied division right now that may need a new face, some new championship blood. John Mindoro has to be somewhere at the top of that list of guys that could get in and make 160 exciting.
You know, it's funny because we talk about two weight classes constantly that need an injection of life, 147 and 160. When back-to-back fights, just tonight we've seen two young studs with big punching power that could inject that excitement, and one into the welterweight division in Ruben Aguilar, and now in the middleweight division with John Mindoro. Really, two guys to keep an eye on.
Oh, and also, who's this guy, Nicholas Flowers? We got waiting in the wings at 147. A lot of new blood, hopefully moving into 47 and 60. But, Chris, are you a little like, man, I want to see more of what this kid had? Or is like, hey, we're going to see that step up next time?
Well, he's already been 12 rounds. So, like, you can speak to that in the past. He has a 12-round draw against Takeshi Inoue. Excuse me. So, he's been rounds. We just haven't seen it lately because he's been so destructive, and he's gotten so much better. Listen, he keeps getting stepped up, and he keeps handling it this way. Just keep stepping him up. I think we're going to see him in a world title fight sooner than later.
He has the physicality. He has the explosiveness. He has the fan base. A lot of fans right now touching gloves with him as he leaves the ring. Incredibly popular fighter. When we come back, get ready for our co-main event. It is coming up. Emiliano Moreno versus Erick Bonet, the up-and-comer, taking on the veteran fighter. More to come right after this. There are strong fighters, there are fighters who have the physique, and there are fighters that can punch. They're not always the same person. Right now, you're looking at someone who has all of that together. Chris, we talked about in a previous fight, some guys look strong, some guys are strong, but they don't hit with a lot of power. John Mindoro has a complete package. He hits as hard as he looks.
All of the above. He looks strong, he is strong, he punches hard, he knocks you out. I mean, it's why he's going to move so quickly in this middleweight division.
And they all go away so painfully. Yeah. None of the knockouts look, oh, I just stopped it. They all look like painful knockouts.
It is very rare on our air. Maybe, 20% of the time, we see a guy go down and go, nope, this guy's not getting up again. This was one of those, Paulie,
Yeah.
where as soon as he hit the canvas, we went, okay.
You can see the way he rolled over trying to. I was like, all right, now I'm there.
Also, the fact that the entire fight is basically on the replay because the fight was so short.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this idea that, gentlemen, I mean, we've all been hit hard, but the idea that it turns your head around, your neck's hurting, your back's hurting, it destroys everything it hits.
So he does it with both hands, too. We saw him land a devastating left hook to the body and then a devastating right uppercut to the chin to end the fight. He's got two-fisted power. He can KO you with the left hand. He can KO you with the right hand. He can do it to your head. He can do it to your body. This guy is just dangerous to be in a ring with.
Yeah. Well, John Mindoro, as we said, ready for that step up in the middleweight division. You have Eros Lara. Look, I love Eros Lara, but this guy's been in the game for coming up on 20 years. Absolutely incredible. We need that fresh blood at 160. This was a marquee division my entire life. I go with Hagler and, of course, B-Hop and Sergio Martinez and all these great fighters. But could there be room for John Mindoro in the title picture at 160 pounds? I would say tonight is a resounding yes, but there is more to come. Co-main event coming up. Emiliano Moreno versus Erick Bonet when we come back.
World-ranked super middleweight contender Lester Martinez continues his quest towards a world title when he clashes with Frenchman Pierre Diboumbé in a 10-round main event. Also on the card, the all-action southpaw Vladimir Hernandez from nearby Stockton looks to continue his 3-fight winning streak against Francisco Verón at the Save Mart Center on July 12th in Fresno, California. World-ranked super middleweight contender
Ladies and gentlemen, just a quick reminder, following our main event, we have some of the top young stars in San Antonio still to come. Rihanna Rios, Panterita Martinez, the Bocanegra brothers, Amador Mendez, Amanda Sendejo, following our main event. A whole night of action still remaining. Thank you.
Welcome back inside the Boeing Center here in San Antonio, Texas, where there's been finish after finish in our contender series. Well, John Mindoro just destroyed Omar Munguia, getting his 14th knockout in 14 wins. Looks like the sky is the limit for this kid. Jimmy Smith alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, also Ruben Aguilar against Iso Kinda knocked him out in round number 2. It has been the night of the power punchers so far. One of these things, every time we come to San Antonio, a great fight down, really passionate fans about boxing, but it brings something out of the guys. Mindoro just cool and calm, and it wasn't just the way he got the knockout, the way he did the walkout. This is a guy who expects to win every time, Chris.
Yeah, and he looks to do it destructively, and he has been doing it destructively, and these fans love it. And he was walking out. Fans are coming to take pictures with him as he's walking by. Listen, Filipino fan base, Filipino boxing is huge, obviously because of Manny Pacquiao. But listen, a lot of Mexican fans love Manny Pacquiao too, or they hate him because he knocked out all their legends. But he has a fan base built in, not only with the Filipino fans, but also the Mexican fans.
Yeah, but when you see what we saw tonight, anything, if you wanted to pick something apart, Paulie, was there anything? It was just an opponent in front of him who couldn't deal with his power?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you keep stepping up. He had a solid guy in front of him, 8-0, 6 KOs. You expected a guy to show up and know what he was doing, a guy to show up and come to win. And he just blew right through him like he's been blowing through all those other opponents. So, he's got that special it factor. Everybody loves a puncher, but Filipino fans, they tend to fall more in love with their punchers. Donito Donaire, Manny Pacquiao. They became really, really global icons and global stars from the Philippines. I think Mindoro has that. He has that smile and a wink that that sort of attracts fans and makes people gravitate to him.
And he's a middleweight.
Yeah, he's a middleweight.
He's a middleweight. We don't have Filipinos that are that big.
Pacquiao went from flyweight to light middleweight, so he stopped short of the middleweight division. Maybe Mindoro can hold the rest of the weight classes,
But when you look at his frame, Mindoro, he has a. You know, I was comparing him, of course, to Lester Martinez, who's fighting for us in Fresno in July. Similar kind of build, similar stock. He's a big, full, strong middleweight for sure.
Yeah, and he's only moved up to middleweight in his last couple fights. I think this is only his second fight at middleweight. I mean, he looks huge for middleweight. I don't know how he ever made 54. Tremendous amount of muscle mass on him. Comes in super lean, in great shape, and he's also explosive and physically strong. He's pushing middleweights around, so he's big enough, he's strong enough, and he punches hard enough for middleweight.
Well, tonight, of course, we are looking at, and what we try to give you here on ProBox TV is that guy who's going to be a world champion soon, who's on the radar of the big sanctioning bodies about their next contender. The guys like you say, Paulie, who get let into the room in 2 fights. We have seen 2 victorious fighters who might be in the room even as soon as late this year. What's your thought on that, Paulie?
Yeah, I think Aguilar, you know, and Mindoro both have enough experience, particularly Aguilar. He's got over 20 fights already, you know, so and almost all knockout wins. So, you know, and in a welterweight division, both guys are in weight classes that are famous, but yet there's not that much depth. So with Aguilar here, we're looking at the knockout against Isa Kinda. As you know, we see the early introductions for Aguilar. You see how young he looks, but devastating power. You see, he walked the Kinda into this right hand. You see how he steps back. Not everybody can punch going backwards, you know? You see how Kinda backed him up. He calmly backed up and then walked him into a right hand. And then the body shot sets it up nicely. Gets his head off line when he throws that right hand, but it's the head off line is not just to get your head off line to protect yourself defensively. It can also be to set up body shots, which he did there.
What I'm curious about, Paulie, if you can walk me through it, that was a short right hand. Like, it kind of surprised every time we look at it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he got full extension and rolled it. It was.
I like to call that double impact because the guy's own momentum is bringing his own demise. So Kindo's attacking, throwing punches, and what you see Aguilar backed up, waited for the moment to where Kinda was in range to fire off that short right hand. It didn't have to be hard. It just had to be accurate and snappy, and you see it did the job.
Yeah, for those people who remember it, of course, who have at least seen it on YouTube, maybe, you know, the Sonny Liston Ali Rima anchor punch, that short bang shot.
Look a little bit, pulling backwards, just throwing it right over the top. But yeah, no, well-timed shot. Showed great awareness. We saw Kinda lunging a bit because he was fighting someone taller than him. He's not used to that. He lunged a couple times with that right hand, and he paid dearly for it.
And also, Chris, you're always pointing out, these are guys that build-wise, and we talk about Nicholas Foss, style-wise, you don't want to see that guy. Build-wise,
yeah, you don't want to see it.
It's one of those things when you look at Aguilar, that guy's 6'1" and he's a welterweight. He's just as a build, and I'm thinking Paul Williams, some you know, volume guy more than a power guy, but so tall, guy's just lanky.
He's young. He may fill out of the welterweight division. We'll see how long he lasts in this division. Right now, it's beautiful to be young. You know, your metabolism burns, and you know you still haven't physically filled out yet. But we'll see how long he lasts at welterweight. But if he can last at welterweight, I could see him contending for a title soon because it's like I said, there's not a lot of depth there, and he's a good fighter with a good enough experience already to be in a contender type of fight.
Yeah, but height, you know, when I make the Paul Williams analogy, Paul Williams wasn't much of a puncher. He was a volume guy. Dude, Aguilar is 6'1" and can put you out, Chris. That's a tough combination.
We saw that. He punched hard with the right hand.
Going backwards, too.
Yeah, he dropped Kinda with the right hand going backwards in a well-timed shot. And then going forwards, he finished him with a left hook to the body. And he threw a nice right hand first and looked for that shot. Like you said, Champ, got his head off line. Gave him that opening to land that left hook to the liver. Landed nice and solid and clean. Kinda went down in immense pain, curled up in a ball. And the guy can punch with both hands. And he's tall and he's long. And in a division right now, welterweight, where there's room to make moves.
And one of the things about having a card like we have had so far tonight in San Antonio, Texas, is the bar is very, very high as our co-main event gets ready to go. Emiliano Moreno, undefeated, 12-0, but can he perform the way the other fighters tonight have performed against a veteran in Erick Bonet? As I said, the bar very, very high. Can Moreno get over it? We'll find out soon. Emiliano Moreno in our co-main event of the evening, undefeated at 12-0. 7 of those wins by knockout, but coming off a fight against Cesar Francis in which he was losing. Came back, got the stoppage. Very controversial. None of us at ringside thought it was a good stoppage, but in another sense, he was coming on. He was starting to find his range, starting to find his power, and got booed as his hand was raised. So that was in a situation that almost took the moment away from both fighters, Chris, where there was a bad stoppage for Cesar Francis, and then Brandon Moreno was starting to solve the puzzle, and that moment gets taken away from him as well. Bad taste definitely in his mouth heading into this fight.
I think both fighters. I think like you said, it took the moment away from both of them. Cesar Francis was putting on a really good performance. He was out slicking the younger guy. Was having good success, but then Moreno kind of figured it out. Was starting to pour it on, and I think the stoppage came early, absolutely, but I think it took a real victory away from him. I think if the fight would have wore on, he would have eventually got Francis out of there, and he would have earned that victory. But now, I mean, the way that it was stopped, it leaves a lot to be desired. So you know what I'd say? Have him fight again.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you got a lot to prove. You don't like how the first one ended? Let's do it again.
Let's see how he looks tonight, and you see if he'll lead to that.
Yeah, but that's the question here, Paulie. Let me ask you about it. When it comes to Erick Bonet, he's in a similar position where he's a veteran guy, just like Cesar Francis was a veteran guy. He had fought great talent, including our broadcast partner, Chris Algieri. This might be his last opportunity. Is it that kind of, can I outbox him? Will he get a late start? What do you think Bonet's attitude is going into this fight?
Well, Bonet has been further than Francis had, right? I mean, Bonet's been further in his career than Francis had gone. But at the same time, Bonet is also older. He may be a little bit more shop-worn. So, do you take the approach like we were talking about earlier that he took with Sean Porter, where he took the fight on 1 day's notice and we say,
guns blazing.
Okay, come out guns blazing, because we don't know if we can go 10 rounds tonight. Maybe Bonet may feel the same thing. You're in with a young guy who has a lot of energy once he gets going. Do you have 10 rounds in you at 36, 37 years old? So I'm curious to see which approach Bonet takes. Obviously he can fight tactically. He's a veteran fighter and he's got a lot of skills, but he may want to start fast, especially knowing that Emiliano Moreno has this reputation to start slow. He may want to take a stab at it.
Now, one of the things is Erick Bonet has the confidence of having been in there against elite talent, as we mentioned, Chris Algieri, Showtime Sean Porter. But what's his attitude coming into this fight against a young, hungry, undefeated fighter? Well, we were able to sit down with Erick Bonet and get his opinion about his mentality, and here it is.
I'm good. I'm happy. Now, with less than a month to go until the fight, and I'm ready. I'm having a good training camp, and above all, I'm happy because at this age, opportunities are very few. Well, I've been having a good training camp with guys who are also tall and have a good reach. It's not the first time I've faced someone who's undefeated, and I think above all, I'm motivated since the opportunity they're giving me is one of the, as I said, the few that you get at this age. No, yes. I mean, I don't see my age as an obstacle, but I'm talking about in terms of sports, the opportunities that are given to us boxers who come from South America or from those regions mainly. Yes, I think that's the advantage I have in my mind, in my head, and in my team. I think that's the key factor for me to be able to win the fight on June 7th. In these last few years with my manager, friend, and coach, we've been working on my mentality. There have been some things in my career and my personal life, and I think that the mental aspect is what I've been missing in, you could say, most of the fights I've had. I don't really know how to explain it well, but I think it's a bit of a mental thing that's been happening to me in the other fights, because I would always fight and always end up with that bad taste in my mouth. Like if I had pushed harder, I could have done. It was never like I finished the fight and then felt like, I gave it my all and I lost. I mean, it was better, I always ended up with that bad taste in my mouth, like, I should have done this, or I should have pushed harder. And I always felt like I still had more energy, or I had more. So now I'm already working on it a lot. These last few years, I've been working on that mental aspect. Boxing in Ecuador is pretty, it's amateur. It's very much like we go to the Olympic Games and all that. So I think I've always had my mindset in that period. I spent a long time in the amateur ranks, and I've been like, it's not that I've moved up, like I can tell you, to destroy, to want to win at all costs, but rather to box, to score points, to move, to look good. And I think I've really internalized that over all these years. I've tried to carry that with me. So now I understand that, I mean, it's about, you could say, going in there to do damage and to destroy.
Bonet talking a lot about the mental side of fighting, and he was cryptic about it, Paulie, when we interviewed him at the fighter meeting, whatever it was, yesterday. He's kind of said the same thing. I wasn't always as focused as I could have been, and taking on the talent he's taken on, right, and fighting the fighters he's fought. That was a weird thing to hear.
Well, boxing is weird because a lot of guys aren't able to fully focus on boxing. They got so much things going on, and they don't have a team around them that's able to allow them to, fully focus on boxing. And a lot of times in Bonet's career, that was the issue. Had managerial problems, has a family in Ecuador while he lived in New York for a while, and because that was necessary to get the best training. Now he's gone back to Ecuador and gone home, but he was telling us yesterday, there's a lot of crime in his area. They actually had just stolen his car, right?
Yep.
He said, and they had tried to carjack his wife not long ago, and he said yesterday they had stolen his car from his property. So, there's a lot of distractions, man, and you're not in a position to, get your family out of there. You're not in a position to, put yourself in a position to be relaxed and focus only on boxing. You got so many things. You got to compartmentalize boxing. And so even though you have all that talent, sometimes you're not able to give it your all. And that's sort of been the story of Erick Bonet's career. He's been a talented guy. When you watch him fight, this guy can fight, make some smart decisions, and he's very crafty. But we may never have really got to see all of him because circumstantial situations didn't allow it.
Now, Chris, you talked about sparring him, and not just sparring him, but his reputation in gyms. Like, dude, this guy's a monster to spar with, but he wasn't always the ace side. He didn't have somebody looking out for him, and it hurt his career.
No, I mean, he was a nightmare in the New York gyms. We all know about Erick Bonet, like sparring him throughout those years back in 2015, 2016. He was in every gym. He was always in there with the best guys that were around. And to your point, exactly, he was always brought in as a B-side, short notice, short money. He fought Sean Porter on literally 1 day's notice. They called him on a Thursday. He jumped on a plane and fought the guy on Friday. Stepping up, that level to do that. I mean, it takes a lot of heart, but also it shows you where you are in your career if you're getting those calls and you're willing to take them. To Champ's point, we probably never saw the best version of Erick Bonet in a professional ring. But we know that he can fight. We've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. You've seen it firsthand in the ring with him. We'll see how much of that guy's left tonight. And like he said, this is his last opportunity. He knows what he is. He seemed very smart and poignant about what was going on in his career and where he's at this point and what kind of fight this is. Let's see if he shows up.
You will see scars on both biceps of Erick Bonet, and that was, once again, the carjacking he talked about. Somebody had tried to rob him. They had a knife. He fought back and got my arms cut a little bit. That is how tough Erick Bonet is, taking on Emiliano Moreno, the young undefeated fighter out of Long Beach, California. It's our co-main event, and it's coming up right after this. Stay tuned.
World-ranked super middleweight contender Lester Martinez continues his quest towards a world title when he clashes with Frenchman Pierre Diboumbé in a 10-round main event. Also on the card, the all-action southpaw Vladimir Hernandez from nearby Stockton looks to continue his 3-fight winning streak against Francisco Verón at the Save Mart Center on July 12th in Fresno, California.
And we got a new main event. Michael Angeletti taking on Eros Correa. Look at the numbers. 28 combined wins, just one loss. An all-action main event in the bantamweight division. That is still coming up. Of course, our co-main event right now, getting ready to get going. Brandon Moreno taking on Erick Bonet. Look at the odds. Emiliano Moreno minus 1250. Erick Bonet plus 700. So Emiliano Moreno about a 12-1 favorite, and make 7 times your money on Erick Bonet. A $100 bet wins you 700. Erick Bonet, of course, used to being in this position. As you said, Chris, he's gotten a lot of late notice calls. He's been the B-side for most of his career. This idea that he knows this time that it's his last opportunity, and could that be the motivator he needs? But also physically, can he get? He might be able to get it mentally. Can he get it physically to the level he needs to get to take on Brandon Moreno?
You know, he's 36 years old.
Yep.
I remember I was still fighting at a high level at 36 years old. It's possible, but you're going to have to change your style a bit. And it's tough when you're fighting really young guys. He's fighting a 20-year-old. You know, he's got to be smart. He's got to be crafty. He's got to set traps. He's got to slow the pace. You know, if he can do that, because that's one thing that has always given Erick problems, and not an older Erick, even a younger Erick had trouble with fast-paced fighters. Sean Porter, myself, we gave him a lot of trouble because we didn't allow him to set traps. So if he gets into a situation where he allows Moreno to get on his speed game, get on his aggression phase, he's going to have a lot of trouble keeping up with the younger man.
Yeah, and the difficulty in Bonet in the Sean Porter fight, he tried to kind of go body shots with Sean Porter. He had some body shots himself. That took a lot of the energy out of him, but is investing in the body against a taller guy, maybe a strategy you might employ this time around?
Yeah, I think so. And again, like I said earlier, when Moreno's reputation starts slow, you know, it may be, I know it's more difficult for an older guy to start fast, but I think making an effort here to start fast for Bonet may be worth a calculated risk, let's say.
Yeah. And when you look at it, of course, the physical advantages belonging to Emiliano Moreno, but this idea that he's trying to make up for a performance that he knows wasn't as good as it could have been. How much do you want it to motivate him, but how much do you want him to kind of put that in the back of his mind, Chris, and move forward?
I think he should have it in the forefront of his mind. Be like, I need to erase that. I need to put that behind me. I need to show that I'm better. I need to show that I learned. I need to show that's never going to happen again. So I would say hyper focus on that now, so you can make those adjustments and become the better fighter that that you're going to need to be in order to step up the way you are.
What did Cesar Francis do, Paulie, in the fight? It was in Central California that gave Emiliano Moreno problems that maybe Bonet might want to take into this fight. What did Cesar Francis?
Francis was able to pick him off, pick his spots and be in and out. But Francis was also much taller. You know, he's much taller than his Bonet. You know, Emiliano usually has the luxury of being the taller guy. Not that he fights tall. Emiliano likes to fight at short range, but Francis was able to play on that thread, on that distance thread, and pick him off and kind of be in and out. And it was sort of confusing Moreno as far as how he was going to close the gap. Bonet, I think, is a little more crafty than Francis in that way, but he's not as tall. Yeah. So you still have to calculate it a little bit differently.
And probably not as good as a puncher as Francis. Francis can punch.
Yeah, and especially at this weight, right?
Yeah.
But also, you know, Francis was younger. Moreno is Bonet's a little bit older, so he may not be able to take as much if Moreno does get going.
Yeah, when you look at Moreno, one thing we've seen tonight, and if you haven't seen it, man, Ruben Aguilar looking outstanding against Yusuf Kinda. That was in the welterweight division. Then the middleweights, Weljon Mindoro over Omar Munguia. We know the ceiling, and we believe the ceiling is very, very high for those fighters. When it comes to Emiliano Moreno, where do you put his ceiling right now? Because we've seen him get great finishes. We've seen him be very aggressive, but we've seen also those things that you need to iron out in the professional ranks to be a contender. Will we decide on his ceiling tonight, Chris? Do you think it's one of those things where I want to see him put an entire fight top to bottom together?
And when I think of Emiliano, he's 20. So I don't think about ceilings, I think about potential. I think the potential is there. I think he still has a lot of growing to do. I'm very impressed with his team and their confidence and the way that they're moving him up so fast. He's 20 years old and he's fighting a guy like Erick Bonet. That's a big step up. Even the Cesar Francis fight, that was a big step up for your 10th or 11th fight. So I'm very impressed with their confidence in the young man. But in terms of what I'm going to learn from him tonight, it's all about potential because he has so much growing to do, so much learning still to do in there. But he's learning on the job and he's doing it well.
Now, difficult to do, as you've pointed out many times, Paul. You build your fundamentals in the amateurs, and then you build on that in the professional ranks. When you look at the fundamentals, does he have them all, and it's just a matter of putting them all together? What is the difference between, as you say, learning on the job and having everything when you come in? Where do you put him?
As far as Moreno is learning on the job, and I mean, I think the psychological part is more so what needs to be learned. I think, when you're talking about the fundamentals and all that stuff, he knows he has them. I think it's more psychological in that, sometimes when he gets going, he goes 100 miles an hour, or he goes back. When he doesn't get going, he's at 0. There's no in between. So maybe having that middle gear sort of navigate a fight that you may need later on, I think that things are more psychological than they are physical. I think physically there's a lot he can do. Maybe he can do it all. It's just a matter of the decision making, the proper time to decide when to do what and when not to do what. And I think that comes with probably the experience he's going to keep getting.
You talk about the weight class and his ability in Erick Bonet to actually get at Emiliano Moreno, who is big for the weight class, young and strong. You fought him before. Does Bonet have the power to make Moreno regret mistakes? Cesar Francis made him regret certain mistakes, popped him a couple times. Does Erick Bonet have that kind of power at this weight class?
Bonet was best at junior welterweight, 140 pounds, and Moreno's a very big welterweight. But there's that man strength, that maturity that comes along, and Erick has respectable power, and even at the world class level. Really, the question is what kind of chin does Moreno have? Can he take the shot? It's all relative.
You know what? I feel like we've been talking about this fight for whole heap year. Where are they? I'm getting blue balls talking about this fight already. What's going on over here? We talk about it and we talk about it. I feel like the fans at home are getting excited. I'm getting excited. Are these guys going to fight or what?
They are walking in now. Producer is telling me they are on their way. Our co-main event, as I look behind me, I see him now.
Right on cue.
Right on cue.
I just had to let him know I was waiting.
Yeah, as soon as Paul was like, look, I'm waiting, they send him out. It is Erick Bonet right now making his way to the ring.
I felt like my cousin Vinny, who at the end where the judge keeps talking to me, like, listen, if I don't get out of here, I feel like I'm never going to get out of here. If I don't watch this fight right now, I feel like I'm never going to watch this fight right now.
And there's Erick Bonet. You see him right there getting ready to go. Has fought some of the best in the world, but as you said, Chris is best really at 140 pounds and 140 to 147. What are the biggest leaps in boxing? You talk about all the time that it felt completely different.
Yeah. I mean, 7 pounds. So it is an actual, numbers-wise, a big gap. But also, it's the last weight class where they're using 8-ounce gloves is 147. So that makes a big difference as well. Once you go above that, you use 10-ounce gloves.
And there is Emiliano Moreno, Mexican-American from Long Beach, California. Undefeated 12-0. You hear the crowd behind him, as they are going to be for most of the Mexican and Mexican-American fighters. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. What do the numbers say about this co-main event? As you said, only 20 years old when Emiliano Moreno was born. Erick Bonet was in high school. And the reach, slight advantage for Emiliano Moreno. Slight height advantage as well. Lupe Contreras, get us going for this co-main event of the evening.
We continue with the action inside the Boeing Center at Techport, San Antonio, Texas. This is another edition of ProBox TV being presented to you by Bet Online along with Wild Casino. This is our co-main event of the evening. Este es el duelo coestelar de esta noche. Pactado a 10 vueltas, división peso super welter, 10 rounds, super welterweight division. Los jueces, the judges, Wilfredo Esperón, Charles Weaver, y Jenny Cárdenas. Presenting the fighter in the blue corner. He enters wearing blue with gold trim, presentando la esquina azul. Vestido de azul con vivos dorados, su peso oficial. 152 libras y media, his official weight. 152.5 pounds. Esta noche, este guerrero de sangre inca entra al cuadrilátero de ProBox TV con 36 combates profesionales, 29 victorias, 7 derrotas y 15 de sus victorias por la vía del knockout. Tonight, this Incan warrior steps into the ProBox TV ring with 36 pro bouts, 29 victories against 7 losses, 15 of those victories coming by way of KO. Fighting out of Puerto Viejo, Ecuador, Erick Bonet. His opposition in the red corner, su oponente en la esquina roja, vestido de negro con color blanco. He steps in wearing black with white trim. He weighed in at 149 pounds. Su peso oficial, 149 libras. Esta noche, ante la posición más dura hasta la fecha, pone en juego su récord invicto de 12 victorias. 7 de sus victorias por la vía del knockout. Tonight, against his toughest opposition to date. He puts his undefeated record on the line, consisting of 12 victories. 7 of those victories coming by way of KO. Repping the LBC, Long Beach, California, Emiliano Moreno. Our referee, Ellis Johnson.
You take these down, Coach. Coach is hot. I'm gonna let him working right here, okay? Escúchame, Portuguese, right? Trabajando limpio. Touch him.
We are last underway for our co-main event. Undefeated Emiliano Moreno taking on the veteran Erick Bonet. Long Beach, California versus Ecuador. And we're underway round number 1. Emiliano Moreno in the gold and red. His opponent, Erick Bonet, in the silver and blue. All Emiliano Moreno talked about was starting faster. See if he does that in round number 1.
Pensando, hay que mirar los espacios, luego, eh.
Now you see the height advantage for the younger Moreno. Very big for welterweight.
Córrete, nomás tiene los dos golpes, va a querer meterle la derecha por arriba.
Moreno circling on the outside.
Tócamelo al pechito
This
cuando
fight at
puedas.
catch weight at 150 pounds. Moreno has talked about going up to 154 at one point. He said strength and conditioning, a new diet was everything.
Moreno needs to be careful here. He's allowing Bonet to get into a comfortable range. If you're the taller man, you want to set that line in the sand to where you can hit them and they can't hit you.
And also on the psychological side, Paulie, you talk about, you don't let the old guy feel like, oh, okay, all right, I'm not having to really hit the gas in round 1 yet.
Yeah, well, I thought Moreno may have tried to hit the gas himself regardless. Seeing that Moreno tends to start slow, and he's seen what looks like another slow start here from Moreno, but Bonet is obliging, being the older man, and he's like, all right, I'll take the slow pace.
I called Bonet versus Giovanni Santillon a couple years back. I mean, and it was a brawl. I mean, it was really impressive from Bonet to push Santillon. It was a high level welterweight. He was undefeated at the time.
So far, Moreno looking to read and react.
Yeah, but Moreno's so explosive when he does step on the gas.
Bonet could be cutting off the ring here on Moreno, but he's allowing.
Ooh, no, good counter right hand.
Nice uppercut there by Moreno on the counter. Really alert.
Bonet goes back down to the body. See that? Digs that left hand. But that was what I was talking about, the explosiveness of Moreno. Ooh, good counter. Moreno, good left hook.
Catch and shoot from Moreno. After a pretty good right hand from Bonet had landed a few seconds earlier. Another good body shot from Moreno. Moreno does hurt to the body. We've seen him get stoppages.
Well, off balance goes Bonet, and right now, Emiliano Moreno trying to take advantage. Good left hand. Explosive end so far to round number 1. Oh, good left hook from Bonet, and they're slinging to the bell.
Woo!
Well, gentlemen, it looks like a fight has broken out. The end of round number 1. Moreno taking it slow, but man, when he explodes, very powerful.
Man, that round started super slow and ended super fast.
Bonet tried to weather the storm here and try to catch Moreno in between, which he kind of did, but then Moreno continued to land his own shots.
Well, he showed a willingness to fight fire with fire. Is going to need it as we begin round number 2.
Yeah, Bonet's not a your turn, my turn fighter. He'll punch with you, even when he's hurt.
Bonet, as we said, talked about how the inability to put everything into all of his fights. You know, he heard it in the interview. He told us the same thing in the fighter meeting. He wasn't always able to put everything into his training. Disappointed with a lot of his performances. And he knows this is pretty much his last shot.
Moreno's doing a really good job of placing very smart, well-timed body shots.
Yeah, in between Bonet too.
And Bonet had a 6-week camp in San Jose, California for this fight. Sparring with, among others, Vladimir Hernandez, ProBox TV fighter who never stops.
Oh, good body shot underneath the elbow.
Bonet's been targeting the body probably from the start. It's just when he hasn't been able to get in range like he wanted to. Moreno's been able to catch him with some sharp shots on the way in.
Moreno's hands high kind of style, a little bit taller than his opponent as well. A lot of times you can attack those ribs. Oh, nice left hook.
Moreno goes to the body himself well, though.
Yeah. And again, the explosiveness, and he's mean when he throws the punches. He has bad intentions on the shots.
Trying to hook with the hooker, and I'm taking that right-hand counter over the top.
Moreno's also very reactive with his upper body movement. He's able to pull and make you reach and like counter, looks to counter.
Not a lot of jabs from Bonet, looking to set up those power punches to the body and to the head.
Now, these guys are both just ripping power shots back and forth.
Including body shots. Think somebody's going to go down for a body shot here, guys?
Certainly could be.
This fight might end on a body shot.
Speak about being the B-side. Chris, he said for...
Bonet's something swelling underneath his left eye, guys.
Yeah, you can see it.
Talk about blood from the nose.
Both these guys starting to wear the damage a bit. Some swelling around the face of Brandon Moreno.
That's another thing. As you get older, your face does not take the damage well at all. Toward the end of my career, my face would swell up over small shots.
Right in front of us, see that blood flowing freely from the nose of Erick Bonet.
Good chippy stuff there in round 2.
Yeah, but the mental side of it, we had such question marks about this. Bonet is willing to get in there and fight. That's definitely true. He didn't come in here to get a check and not get hurt. He stepped in and fought.
But how much is the mind's willing, obviously, but how much is the body willing?
Yeah, that's the thing.
And then also, as things get tough, does the body remain willing? Does the mind remain willing?
You know, body shots from both fighters. They both made a commitment to the ribs.
That was a good
first 2 rounds.
That was a good hook there from Bonet on the counter to Moreno's body shot.
You know, Chris, talking about being the B-side, he said he was promised $100,000 to fight you. He got 6.
Yeah.
That's a horrible thing to hear.
Said the manager just told him it's taxes.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. The kind of people that are in this business is crazy, man. And every once in a while, somebody gets shot or hung out the window like when Tyson did. And people wonder why. I mean,
because of stuff like this. The round number 3 is Erick Bonet in the blue and silver versus Emiliano Moreno in the red and gold. Undefeated fighter from Long Beach, taking on the veteran from Ecuador.
Oof. Good 1-2 there from Bonet. Backs Emiliano out. But that's something I want to see more of from Moreno, is that jab. He's got a nice snappy jab.
Even for Bonet, I like to see him straighten out some of these shots. He keeps arcing them, and Moreno keeps pulling away from them and making a miss. If maybe Bonet starts straightening them out, he could catch Moreno pulling back on those shots. All the shots Bonet throws end up being kind of arcing. See, there it is again.
Yeah, if that was a straight punch, I would have landed.
It's happened a few times.
Emiliano Moreno turned pro before his 16th birthday, which is why he has the experience he has at age 20. Turned pro in Mexico because of that.
Ooh.
He's a young man with some veteran experience.
Well, I think we got our answer about Bonet. He's going to come out gunslinging.
I think now he's being forced to.
Yeah.
Because Moreno has woken up.
Scheduled for 10 rounds. Only in round number 3, and they've been throwing leather since round number 1. A little bit of a slow start, but man, they started firing.
Moreno, nice move.
At the end of that round, yep.
Turn Bonet and put him on the ropes.
Gave him the Uno reverse.
Moreno on the longest knockout streak of his career. He's won his last 2 by knockout.
This is why Moreno's dangerous.
Flipped him again. Emiliano Moreno all over Erick Bonet. Can the veteran hold on?
Again, Bonet keeps arcing those shots.
Yep.
You got to shorten those up.
Started from that body shot.
Bonet has been hurt from the Moreno assault.
Started with the body.
One thing, he has great finishing instincts, gentlemen. When Moreno gets you hurt, he knows how to close the show.
Yeah, Moreno's a tough guy to stand in front of and trade punches with because he's just so much volume.
Bonet, though, looking to weather the storm. Looks like Moreno calming down just a little bit. Nice left hook counter. Trying to answer back with power punches as the fighter from Ecuador, but Moreno all over him.
Yeah, Bonet's overthrowing everything.
There is Erick Bonet in the corner after a great round for Emiliano Moreno.
Good exchanges there. That was a good hook by Bonet. But you see, Moreno doesn't break position, stays there, stays defensively responsible, comes back with his own shots. Bonet's trying, though, but it's just that youth energy. Again, we talk about youth energy constantly when it's with these younger fighters. They're able to punch the older guy in those exchanges.
And Moreno has shown good durability, a good chin, got hit with some good clean shots, and has walked right through everything.
Can Bonet keep it going? There's a question as we reach round number 4, scheduled for 10. Catch weight 150 pounds, and Emiliano Moreno, young man from Long Beach, certainly the bigger fighter tonight.
Punch his gloves out and go through the middle whenever you can. He has a pickable guard, remember.
Look at the total punches landed. Moreno 10 ahead of Erick Bonet.
By those stats, you can tell they're not having trouble finding each other.
Yeah.
that's a lot of landed punches.
Good. Now set up the right hand.
Now, to your point, Chris, they've been at punching range the whole time. I mean, one thing about Moreno is he's a puncher. He's not much of a mover. He's pretty much in front of you the entire time.
And I said it right from the beginning. He allowed Bonet to walk in the front door and close that distance to where it was his range. But Moreno's okay with that because he's gonna not only match you punch for punch, he's gonna outwork you.
Bonet looking to get back in this with counter punches, left hooks, right hands. Neither fighter relying very much on the jab.
Bonet has had success with just a single 1-2 down the middle. Just has been doing it few and far between.
Yeah, and then the more the output of Moreno keeps going up, the less energy Bonet has to match it, so to speak. You know, he's getting backed up more. He's trying to still punch in between Moreno to the body, but it's, like I said, fewer and further between. And Moreno is getting more and more comfortable at this range, and he's getting more and more comfortable.
Sharp right hand.
Walking down Bonet.
Yeah, more and more. It's just Bonet throwing single counters, trying to catch Moreno. Because like you said, champ, he's not able to
straight
keep
right
up.
hand.
Good body shot.
Starting to wear down in this round number 4. Bonet turned pro when his opponent was 6 years old. He's having trouble keeping up with what you said, Paulie, that youthful energy of Emiliano Moreno.
And every once in a while, Bonet does land a good clean shot like that. But Moreno goes right through it. There's not enough firepower to keep the young man off him.
And also, Bonet not having a lot of success with the jab, so kind of that rangefinder to keep somebody away. He hasn't had that. It's been a power punching.
Stop using it, really. You know, if you're not strong enough to match this kind of output with Moreno, you know, use that jab from range and maybe try to establish some distance here. But he's not used that jab a lot at all. He's been content to oblige this kind of fight, and it's not been the fight for him.
You know, champ, when I called that Santiago fight, it was the same thing. He didn't have enough power to really hurt Santiago, but he just kept loading up. He had success, like similar to how he is here. He was a little sharper that night than he is here, but he was doing the same thing. No jabs, no feel-out punches. Everything was hard.
Yeah, which can make things uncomfortable, but I don't think he can win fights.
Right.
You know?
Closing seconds of round number 4, a round that has seen Emiliano Moreno just unload from every angle.
Yeah, Bonet's starting to look very arm-weary out there.
Problem with that 16-year disparity between these two fighters is you're sitting there going, oh, well, they're getting tired too. No, they're not. He's 20. I'm 36. I can't depend on...
Second and third wins come quicker when you're younger.
Exactly. You know? This idea that I'll get a second win, maybe a third one, gets harder as you get older. And Emiliano Moreno has eaten some shots, of course, throughout this fight, especially the left hook, but can't really see it on his face. He's wearing it very, very well. We get ready for round number 5. We're underway. Can Emiliano Moreno continue with the success he has had so far? Can Erick Bonet somehow turn the tide? Look at power punches through round 4, 76 to 60. Look at the 4th round, 25 to 11.
Wow. 3rd and 4th round, Moreno's landed 25 power shots.
And if Bonet doesn't get a consistent jab going, he's basically playing a sparring partner here, where, you know, Moreno just walks him down and puts punches on him, and Bonet will answer every once in a while, but they basically starting to become a punching bag. No jab, so you're allowing Moreno to just walk in uncontested.
To your point, Paulie, Bonet doing enough to kind of justify staying in the fight, right?
Yeah, but it's
not
more
enough
like
to
a
turn the
sparring
tide.
partner. You know, it's not enough to win the rounds. You're just hanging around just enough for Moreno to get some work in.
Yeah, but when you don't have an educated jab that you can live by, you're stuck here trading counter shots and power punches.
With a bigger, younger, stronger opponent.
Fitter as well. Ooh, good left hook from Moreno. That got the attention of Bonet.
You got to start
and the body.
If you're in the corner of Bonet, you got to start looking at considering to stop this fight here.
Yeah, face starting to swelling around both eyes.
Also, you have an older fighter too. You know, if he's younger, they say, okay, you know, he can
power
through a little more. But you know, you don't have those second and third wins, as I said, when you're older. Especially when taking the punishment Bonet's already taken in this fight. Moreno, on the part of Moreno, he should be looking to get a stoppage here.
Yeah.
Maybe turn it up a notch even more, and sense that stoppage and go for an impressive finish.
Ooh,
nice left.
And even though this is a faded Erick Bonet, it still will be feather in the cap to have a stoppage on your record, because he's only ever been stopped by Sean Porter.
And even that was on 1 day's notice.
And that was on 1 day's notice. And it was actually a knee injury. It wasn't even a true knockout.
Twisted his knee going down. I called that fight for PBC, and
I was actually sparring with him for that, and he had a knee injury in camp. So he went out there injured.
Aggravated it in the fight with Sean Porter, but in that fight, he gave Sean Porter all he could handle.
Ooh, big overhand shot there from Emiliano.
But that was a while ago, and right now, Emiliano Moreno looking like the superior fighter in every way tonight.
Yeah, that was 11 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Shoot, I fought Erick 10 years ago.
Chris, I hate to say this, we're all getting older.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
Except Emiliano Moreno, he's looking young in there tonight.
Young and fresh.
Oh, beautiful combination to end the round, punctuated with a jab.
And then angles back to the center. Smart.
Great stuff from the young man from Long Beach. Welcome inside the Boeing Center. We are halfway through a scheduled 10-round fight, and Erick Bonet doing everything he can to stay in this fight. Emiliano Moreno, Chris, looking absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, he's picking up, and really, I think Emiliano can go for it. He can step on the gas, look to try and get that stoppage, doing things like that, where he lets his hands go, steps around, keeps the pressure on. I don't think it's going to take all that much for either the corner or the referee to start taking harder looks. But it's up to Moreno to step on the gas.
I think the ref already came and talked to the corner of Bonet. From the body language, I think he was insinuating, keep an eye on him. It looked to me like
good right hand right through the center.
Yeah, good shot there. But from the body language, it looked to me like the corner was annoyed by that. I would hope they're at least considering, the fact that their guy is older and taking this kind of punishment.
It's also
not good.
It's not really competitive. It's not winning rounds. So
yeah.
You're falling behind. You haven't shown the ability to hurt
you know what
the
it
other
is?
guy.
When you're younger, I say, okay, you know what, you got the second half of the fight, you may be able to turn it around. But when you're older and you've taken that kind of punishment in the first half of the fight, you're probably not going to be able to summon that second and third win. Especially when you've taken that damage, your body just doesn't summon it the same way.
Unless they're thinking, the young man hasn't been deep with anybody like us and we can catch him. But, I mean, that's got to be the only way I can think that they may be thinking.
Yeah, the idea that Erick Bonet can catch the big shot, maybe put Emiliano Moreno down. He's landing some good hooks. None of them really seem to bother Moreno.
That's the thing. Moreno's got a good chin, too.
Yeah, he's shown that. I mean, he's a big, strong welterweight. But chins are funny. Even, you can be strong, but the chin can be weak. But I think Moreno actually does have a good chin because he's been hit cleanly tonight, as well as the fight with Francis, who is a good puncher.
Keep walking to your right. Make them up turn. Come on.
But he talked about wanting to start earlier. He certainly did that tonight. Obviously slow in round one, but finished the round strong. And he's been busy since then. Incredibly active with his punches. Nice counter uppercut there. Right hand over the top. You see Bonet just breaking down a bit.
Still trying to catch and shoot and counter is Bonet, but they're all arm punches at this point. Moreno, I like how he's starting to cut angles. He's going back down to the body. That's smart. You have a weakening foe in front of you. Touch his body, cut his angles, make him miss. Because the punches you miss are a lot more tiring than the ones you land. Good body shot.
He wasn't angling a lot early on in the fight, Chris.
No,
he knows that. He was a little stuck in the mud, and now angling very, very well.
In the meantime, speaking of stuck in the mud, it's Bonet's legs that are kind of stuck in the mud now, guys.
Yeah, he's really
he's arm weary, too. Even the punches don't have the same snap on him.
He's just looking for one shot,
First time he kind of has Moreno boxed in the corner. As you said, the hard punches just aren't there.
No, he just doesn't have the snap.
He's arm weary.
He's got a ton of heart. He's trying, but
yeah, it's too much youth energy here from Moreno too, and he's picking some shots really well.
Good body shot,
punctuated with a nice right hand.
World-ranked super middleweight contender Lester Martinez continues his quest towards a world title when he clashes with Frenchman Pierre de Bombay in a 10-round main event. Also on the card, the all-action southpaw Vladimir Hernandez from nearby Stockton looks to continue his 3-fight winning streak against Francisco Verón at the Save Mart Center on July 12th in Fresno, California.
Undefeated Lester Martinez fighting for us in Fresno, California, Save Mart Center. And right now we have another young, hungry, undefeated fighter. And he's having his way with the veteran Erick Bonet.
Yeah, more and more you're seeing Bonet getting broken down round after round, being less and less competitive. The counters are coming fewer and far between. And we're seeing the body shots more and more are starting to wilt the older fighter.
They may stop this, guys. They may stop this from the corner.
And he's supposed to be out of the corner. He's still sitting on a stool, and that is it. Corner stoppage.
Yeah, and I think that was the right stoppage.
Yeah, understandable. This was one-way traffic from round number 1.
Bonet, you know, he gave it the effort. You know, for a guy his age, he showed some veteran tactics. He tried, you know, and he gave the young man the work needed in a fight like this. You know, lasted enough rounds for Moreno to get the work. And I think, you know, Moreno got a good night's work that will continue to help his progression up the ladder.
Would he make adjustments after the disappointing fight against Cesar Francis? The answer is a resounding yes.
I wouldn't mind seeing the rematch with Francis, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
I still would like to see that.
Stopped before the start of round number 7. TKO win for that man, Emiliano Moreno. Good combinations, good power, excellent footwork. Erick Bonet came to fight, came to win, but Paulie just didn't have the physicals, because maybe the spirit was willing, flesh, however.
Yeah, the energy just wasn't there. You can't get your body to that level. I mean, Moreno is a prime, young stallion of a boxer at this weight class right now, and he's on the move. He's on the way up, getting stronger every year, getting better every fight. And when you're Bonet's age and you have the tough fights he's had, you don't have a lot to take anymore. You know, you may be able to give a little bit, but there's not a lot you can take. And Moreno was giving too much, and I don't think Bonet was able to take it.
You were worried a little bit, of course, Paulie, about whether or not the corner would do what we thought would probably be the intelligent thing, step in, stop the fight. They did that. Yeah, round number 6 not going well at all for Erick Bonet. Only so much you can take at 36 years old. That young man at only 20. We talked about his potential. What potential did you see tonight?
He looked good. I like the adjustments that he made from the last fight with the Cesar Francis fight. He started sooner. He started quicker. End of the first round, he was very explosive. You know, there's a few things to work on in terms of defensive lapses. He did get hit with some clean shots tonight. You know, and I mentioned that Bonet is not the biggest puncher, especially at this weight class, but there are some guys who can really punch. You don't want them to be landing those clean shots. So
let's see,
definitely some things to work on.
Get the moment. Doctor walked in. Check everything out. You see the head shaking from Erick Bonet.
It seemed like everyone was just in agreement. You know, it was the writing was on the wall. That was a bad end of that round. The competitiveness was not there for a number of rounds. So a good call by everyone involved.
It wasn't any one shot. It was more death of 1,000 cuts, right? Just being picked apart by Emiliano Moreno. Merciful job by the corner, stopping it, and no protest at all from Erick Bonet. None at all. No shame in this loss, losing to a young man, once again, 16 years his junior. But Emiliano Moreno showing outstanding footwork, punching, volume. Let's take a look at the numbers. Jabs 45 out of 165, 116 to 76 in terms of power punches. Total punches a wipeout, 161 to 91, and body shots, of course, Moreno the winner there, and also thudding body shots, more power behind everything he threw. Great performance. Lupe, make it official.
Inside the ProBox TV ring, the blue corner informs referee Ellis Johnson their fighter is no longer able to continue, obligating him to stop this contest before the start of round number 7. La esquina azul le informa al referee Ellis Johnson que su peleador no puede continuar, obligándolo a parar la contienda antes del inicio del 7º asalto, declarando el vencedor por knockout técnico, declaring the winner by way of technical knockout and still undefeated as a pro, Emiliano Moreno.
That makes it 13 wins, 8 knockouts for the young fighter from Long Beach. Outstanding work tonight. Gentlemen, he showed us a little bit of everything. tonight. Didn't over-rely on anyone's skill set. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I like what I saw. I mean, I would like to see more jabs again. I would like to see a little bit more be locked in on the defense, but I liked how he adjusted. He built the pressure. He started changing angles. He went to the body early. He was tricky with the way that he was punching in between the shots of Bonet. I liked that as a Emiliano. Again, things to work on, but at 20 years old, against a veteran guy, very good performance.
Now, when you look at it, Paulie, of course, Cesar Francis, we'd all like to see that rematch, but also just the idea that maybe a guy in the room you're talking about, a guy who was recently in the room, might be a good fight for Emiliano Moreno. Maybe a guy who had fought for a title recently, something like that. What's your thought about his next step up?
You know, he may be going up to 154 soon.
Could be,
You know, so I wouldn't rush him.
Tough weight
20
class.
years old, I wouldn't rush him. There's a lot of dynamite there, a lot of difficult situations there. I think I wouldn't mind seeing the Francis rematch in the meantime, see if we can handle that or not, and then see where it goes from there.
Yeah, but this is a young man with an incredible upside. Not just undefeated, not just having excellent power, but the ability to box from a lot of different angles. We saw the footwork, we saw the combinations, we saw the accuracy. Great stuff from Emiliano Moreno in our co-main event of the evening. Did an outstanding job. Let's see how well he moves up next time out here on ProBox TV. Coming over to give us some respect. We appreciate you a ton. Main event still to come. Angeletti, Correa when we come back.
World-ranked super middleweight contender Lester Martinez continues his quest towards a world title when he clashes with Frenchman Pierre Diboumbé in a 10-round main event. Also on the card, the all-action southpaw Vladimir Hernandez from nearby Stockton looks to continue his three-fight winning streak against Francisco Verón at the St. Mark Center on July 12th in Fresno, California.
We always say here at ProBox TV, it's the questions that make a fight interesting. When it comes to Emiliano Moreno versus Erick Bonet, was the mentality of Bonet. Would he try to win? He certainly did. Would Emiliano Moreno start faster? Would he use his entire toolkit? He did that as well. Those questions definitely answered, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really certainly came down to one of the situations where, yes, the mind was willing for Bonet, but the body was not. And he had a young, virile, energetic young man in front of him who brought the heat and showed you why we're so excited about this kid. I mean, he showed a lot of wrinkles today. He showed adjustments from his last fight. He had a lot to prove, and I think he proved a lot.
Yeah, he certainly did. Power punches, ate a few. Is that something he's going to have to tighten up on, Paulie? He did eat some left hooks. Maybe a guy further up the ladder can hurt you with those shots.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, he's got to still, you know, be alert to certain punches, be alert to certain power punches, maybe use his jab a little bit more, I'd say, you know, and also, you know, just be alert after he throws punches. He likes to linger in the middle. I think he's going to be one of these guys that is a high-contact fighter. I mean, he's also going to get hit, but I think he's got a good chin. I think he's got a lot of energy, and I think he's going to be fun in that kind of atmosphere.
Jimmy Smith alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. When you look at it, you said it, champ, he was in the danger zone a lot, but he sees that as an ability to hit his opponent, maybe over-relying on that power. Moving up to 54, Chris, I'm very curious about that. That's a tough division. Guys hit a little bit harder.
Yep.
This idea that he's always there to be hit, does that need to change for you?
Yes. I don't like young fighters getting hit. I don't think getting used to that is a good idea because, one, you're moving up in weight classes, right? You're going from 147 to 154. Guys hit harder. But also, as you step up in class, everybody hits hard. Everybody hits hard. I don't care how many panakas they have. Everybody hits hard at the world class level. And if you get accustomed to taking shots just because you can, you're going to run into someone where you can't. And that's going to be the end of the road. So I like guys to work on their defense from the very beginning.
Earlier on tonight, we saw Ruben Aguilar at 147 pounds with an outstanding performance. We saw in the middleweight division, John Mendoro. And one of the things we talked about is a lot of space at 160. 160 and 147 for that new blood. 154, you better carve out your niche with, I don't know, a chainsaw to make room because it's just so packed with talent. What's your thought?
It is packed with talent. But you know what? More talent keeps growing and wanted to join the party, I guess. I think I don't see Emiliano at 147 for very long. To tell you the truth, Aguilar is only 22. And he's only 22 years old. He's very, very
6'1".
6'1". I can see him at a 154. Now, don't get me wrong. So a lot of weight classes change around quickly, and the guys move up, and maybe a lot of the 154s may move up to 160. But right now, man, 154 has contenders. It has good journeymen. It has good prospects. It has great champions.
The top 12 to 15 fighters at 154 can all fight.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those things where when you look at the depth of that division, when I say, is a weight class good, I look at the guy at number 1. I look at the guy at number 6, and I go, that guy's damn good. It's this idea that on any given night, and also we're talking about Boots Ennis, a very big 147-pounder, might move up to 154 pounds. This idea that it's loaded with talent, just being in that mix makes you world class. But we keep saying it, he's only 20 years old. Would you put the brakes on moving him up too quickly, especially at 54, Chris?
Absolutely. Timing is everything in this sport. Momentum matters, timing matters. He's 20 years old. There's a lot more time for him to get more experience. He's only got 13 pro fights. There's no reason to rush him. Have him grow into his body. He's only 20. Maturity-wise, weight-wise, figure out where you're really going to fall. Are you a true 54-pounder yet? You have to grow into that weight class a little more. And also just working on some of those things that we saw exposed tonight before you get in with those big world-class guys.
And that's why I think if you're not going to rush it and you don't need to, that's why I'd say look at the Francis rematch. It's a curious fight because what happened in the first fight.
I want to see it.
And it allows you to sort of hold the brakes for another step up and see if Moreno has learned from the first fight with Francis.
But a little bit of the difficulty, Paulie, is when we see performances like we saw tonight against Erick Bonet, you want that guy to move up, right? You get excited as a fan base about that next challenge. And the idea of, hey, let's put the brakes on it. A lot of fans are like, I want to see how he does against this guy, this guy. How do you manage that expectation, Paulie?
To be honest, just watch the first Francis fight. It's how much trouble he was having.
Yeah.
I mean,
I still think there's a lot to prove there.
There's still something to prove there, And you saw the reaction of the crowd. I don't necessarily think they were booing him. They were booing the incompetent referee that had the incompetent stoppage, and they wanted to see. They wanted closure in that fight, and the closure would have been that possibly, because the momentum was on Moreno's side, he may have gotten the stoppage, or the veteran Francis, who wasn't that old, he wasn't Erick Bonet old.
Right.
Francis may have turned around and held on and squeaked out a decision at the end. That's why it's a good way to sort of hold the level and not rush up the ladder at 20 years old, and also see, revisit a situation where you may want to improve on.
Well, let's take a look at that. When you look at our main event coming up, Michael Angeletti at 13-0, 8 knockouts. One of those knockouts here in San Antonio against Judy Flores the last time he fought. He had some trouble early on in that fight, and much like Emiliano Moreno, we want to see if he makes adjustments. Probably he's taking on Eros Correa, who is 15-1, young, hungry, strong. This is not an Erick Bonet who's 36 years old. This is a young, hungry fighter. What's your thought?
No, this is a prospect versus prospect crossroads matchup. This is something that we all have in our careers coming up. These guys are doing it a little earlier than most, but welcome to ProBox, especially a main event. So it's a good matchup between two young, hungry guys. Eros Correa, he has that one lone loss, but it's to a very good fighter, and it was a close fight. So he walks around and carries himself like an undefeated fighter. So he's thinking himself as the prospect here, and he's going to have to knock off another prospect in order to keep moving forward.
That loss, of course, to Akitsugi, a fighter who has fought on ProBox TV for awkward, weird,
excellent, and he's just an excellent fighter.
Great
he's just
fighter.
Very, very good fighter. So.
Also, one of those where you look at that loss and you go, okay, it's not the kind of loss where I'm worried about somebody getting hurt. Akitsugi can throw a lot. He's not a power puncher. So physically, you don't worry about Correa getting kind of used up in a loss like that. It's exactly the kind of loss at the right time.
And he was very competitive. I'd say he came out even confident in that fight, learning some things and saying, I can compete at this level. I can be back here. And I think he can go into this fight with Angeletti saying, Angeletti has not seen a guy on my level yet. I have seen the guys on his level. So while Angeletti, on the other hand, having that on his record, can say, hey, man, I'm undefeated. I'm going to stay undefeated. So it's a ProBox main event. I think our fans at home know the kind of main events we've had here. When you're fighting a ProBox main event, you will be tested, and regardless of what the odds wind up being. Speaking of odds here, the minus 800 to plus 500, as you guys know at home, these tend to not even matter.
I don't even.
The odds makers in Vegas they still haven't figured it out here in that here at ProBox. It can be difficult. Correa is very live. Angeletti's a very good prospect. We'll see who comes out on top.
Man, right now at ringside, I would say this is a coin flip fight. Only one loss between them, and Eros Correa, when we talked to him yesterday, very confident.
And the reason I say that is because if anybody's watched us for long enough, you've seen these kind of odds not matter.
Right.
You've seen these kind of odds, where the underdog won. And it's happened rather often here. And some commissions may rob you, but ultimately, these are even matchups.
Eros Correa making his way into the ring. Young man coming in with a lot of confidence out of San Jose, California, same place Erick Bonet trained for his fight in our co-main event. Fit, strong, athletic, has a ton of faith in his ability not just to outbox his opponent, but as he said in our fighter meeting, get inside and make it a brawl that Angeletti just isn't ready for. That's Michael Angeletti in his first main event. Justin Pauldo, if you did not hear, was unable to fight, did not make weight for the fight. This got upgraded to our main event. Says, I'm ready for anything my opponent brings. I'm ready to meet in the middle. It's the man who sparred Shakur Stevenson, O'Shaquie Foster, Guillermo Rigondeaux. Unbelievable list.
Wow, that's a who's who.
That's where his confidence comes from tonight. Sparred with some of the best, ready to go. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. It is New Orleans, Louisiana versus San Jose, California. You'll certainly see it once they get in the ring. The height advantage belonging to Michael Angeletti, the reach advantage as well. Can he make it a factor? Eros Correa wants to get inside, make it a phone booth fight. Lupe Contreras, get our main event started.
We continue inside the Boeing Center at Techport, San Antonio, Texas. It is another edition of ProBox TV being sponsored by Bet Online and Wild Casino. This contest, 10 rounds on the line, the vacant USBA Bantamweight title. Este duelo, 10 vueltas. En juego, el título vacante USBA Peso Gallo. Supervisor Rob Scott. Our judges scoring the action ringside. We have Wilfredo Esperón, Rafael Ramos, and Nexus Novoa. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from deep in the heart of Texas, San Antonio, we're going to find out quién es el más macho. The ProBox main event is on now. Presenting first, in the blue corner, he enters wearing silver with red trim. En la esquina azul, vestido de plateado con vivos rojos. Detuvo la báscula a un peso oficial de 118 libras. He tipped the scales at an official 118 pounds. Tonight, he looks to return to his winning ways with an outstanding record of 15 victories. One lone defeat, 9 of those victories coming by way of KO. Esta noche, busca volver a la senda del triunfo con un récord de 15 victorias. Solo una derrota, 9 de sus victorias por la vía del knockout. Fighting out of San Jose, California, Eros Correa. In the red corner, en la esquina roja, vestido de amarillo con vivos negros. He steps in wearing gold with black trim. He weighed in at 117 3/4 pounds. Detuvo la báscula a un peso oficial de 117 libras y 3/4. Esta noche entra la zona del peligro. El cuadrilátero de ProBox TV pone en riesgo su récord invicto de 13 victorias. 8 de sus victorias por la vía del knockout. Tonight, he steps into the danger zone, the ProBox TV ring, and puts his undefeated record on the line of 13 victories. 8 of those victories coming by way of knockout. Out of Houston, Texas, and repping the Big Easy, New Orleans, Louisiana, Michael Angeletti. Our referee with final instructions, Mark Calloy.
2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Okay, athletes, we've already gone over the rules of the dressing room. I expect for you to obey my commands at all times. Most importantly, protect yourself at all times. Punches in this area and up will be considered legal. Punches in this area and up will be considered legal. Touch gloves, choque and guantes. Let's go to war.
Go to war is exactly what Eros Correa wants to do in this fight. Will Michael Angeletti let him? That is the question. He is taller, he is rangier. Can he outbox the fighter from San Jose, California? We're underway, round number 1. Main event is on, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Angeletti's one of those guys who's got really nice, smooth boxing skills. He's long, he's tall, he can box well from the outside, he's got good defense. Correa is the kind of guy, he wants to put his head on your chest and break you up. So it's a battle of styles here tonight.
A battle of styles, battle of range as well. I think Angeletti wants to fight right here at this range where Correa has to sort of work his way into range, but can't get those punches off, while Angeletti can dictate with this jab if he can control things at this distance.
As we said, the awkward style of Judy Flores last time out.
Watch that head. The head is in the face of Angeletti on the inside.
It was a little bit of a problem for Angeletti until he found the body shot and knockout. And that's what lead with the head. Well, Correa's going to have to lead with the head a bit to get inside.
That's one thing about Eros. He's a very rough guy. He will make it rough in there. He'll put his head, like I said, on your chest, under your chin.
And that's why Angeletti's jab is so key here, because it can establish the distance that Correa doesn't want to fight at, but it would be forced to fight at if Angeletti's jab can cooperate with his legs and control that distance.
Referee's going to have a tough job tonight because both these fighters like a different kind of range. I mean, a lot of this clinching, holding, moving.
Well, it comes down to how hard is Correa going to have to work in order to get inside, and then once he gets there, is he going to be effective?
Yeah, is he going to let, or he's going to allow Angeletti to tie him up the way Angeletti has been doing, smothering him when he gets close.
He likes that sneaky left hand, Correa, on the inside.
Hooks off the jab as the guy dips his head. It's a smart move against a fighter like an Angeletti, who will fight with one hand down and dip.
Correa just barging in there.
As you said, Chris, Correa, not much of a footwork guy. Tends to come in, as you say, through the front door.
Coming through the front door, he'll be rough on the inside. Will use his head, his elbows, which is good against a fighter like Angeletti. You want to make them as uncomfortable as possible.
Anybody who's sparring with Shakur Stevenson is used to clean lines, right? He's used to guys who know how to punch and box on the outside. Correa does not want a boxing match. He wants a fight.
Yes, exactly. The closer you can get this to a bar brawl, the happier he'll be.
Short hook off the clinch. Correa said he had about a 6-week camp. Said the cut was pretty easy.
Oh, nice jab there from Angeletti.
He also says that right hand of Angeletti leaves him vulnerable. So, he's got the reach advantage, but it's a long way back to his chin. He says he can take advantage of that.
Well, Angeletti does fight with that lead hand down. He's a very reactive guy, but he can be timed up top. We've seen that in the past. Ooh, very nice.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a quick reminder, following our televised main event, some of San Antonio's top young talent still to come. Amanda Sendejo, Jason Limon, Rihanna Rios, Jesus Martinez still on the way. Stick around for much more action here at the Boeing Center at Techport.
Lester Martinez will make his return undefeated, 19-0, 16 wins by knockout against Pierre de Bombe. Super middleweight division, July 12th, Save Martin Center, Fresno, California. Going back to the San Joaquin Valley. Once again, great crowds there, great fans cheering on the Mexican and Mexican-American fighters, just like they do here in San Antonio, Texas. Good combinations.
At the end of the round there, Angeletti landed a nice 1-1-2 right at the bell. See if he can build off of that offense that he created at the end of the round.
Angeletti 8 of 13 wins by knockout. Eros Correa 9 of 15.
Good jab and a hook off the jab from Correa.
Yeah, Correa, he turns that hook off the jab nicely.
Yes, he does.
When he gets it off. He's got to find the range, and Angeletti's trying to control that. Correa has to get about 6 to 8 inches closer in order to be able to use that punch dynamically.
It also might be, conditioning-wise, when both these guys punching and then clinching, as As you know,
different
Chris,
energy systems.
Different energy. You know, from kickboxing, you have to do both. MMA, you have to do both. It's not easy.
Yeah, it will cause a little bit of a fatigue. I think Angeletti can use some feints here, though. You know, he's got his jab working. There's some feint right there. See, that was calm Correa down, and then you can use that jab off the feint again. I think if he mixes jabs, change of height, and looks like he's doing now, with some feints, and then work that jab in between, it'll confuse Correa just enough to slow him down and be on the end of the jab of Angeletti.
Angeletti landed some really sharp jabs this round already. There's a nice stab jab down low.
Correa, on the other hand, has to at least jab with the jabber and make it physical. He's got to make it count on the inside here. He can't let himself get tied up. This is where he does have to get the work going.
As you said, Paul, you can get there, but can you use it effectively? That's the question. You get there, can you stay there?
That was a nice body shot there from Correa. He's got that chin way up in the air, though. Those jabs are giving him that Pez dispenser look, popping his head up.
Maybe he's letting so much taller, he's got to keep looking up.
Yeah, more of a boxer stance than a brawler stance. I mean, his legs are really wide, but to your point, gentlemen, he does tend to keep that chin high.
Angeletti varying just enough to keep Correa controlled here, and that's what it is. You just want to vary it just enough. I don't necessarily think you have to hurt Correa. You just keep varying the work just enough to keep him thinking.
Eros is ripping some of those overhand chopping shots, cutting angle, which is smart. Because Angeletti tends not to move his feet on the inside too much.
And Correa, once he gets on the inside, if he step over to the right, he can actually repeat a couple of hooks. He's got a good hook. He can step over to the right when he gets close. He can throw those hooks in double and triple fashion there, because Angeletti does blade off a little too much at times.
Correa has found some success in round number 2. Round number 3 about to get underway here in San Antonio, Texas, the Boeing Center. Eros Correa having some success in round number 2. Finally getting inside of it, Paulie, and, you know, landing a couple of those short punches.
Getting inside, but I don't know, was it enough to win the round, though?
That's the question.
That's the thing. You know, he's got to get himself free enough and put the punches together. Also, he's got to realize the angle he needs to be at. I think Angeletti sometimes angles off a little too much, so when you're on the inside, if you can step around him to the right, put yourself in a position to, like I said, throw those hooks in succession.
Certainly made it difficult for Angeletti to really find the range with that lead hand in round 2.
Oh, Angeletti doing nice work down to the body, which was the shot that knocked out Judy Flores.
Beautiful body shot.
Heads came together there.
I landed. I didn't think I would knock him down with that shot, Angeletti said, but once I did, I knew he'd stay down.
Angeletti doing a good job with little eye feints, up, down, changing his height, changing levels. I was going to say, I would like to see him get a little more of his shoulder rotation going, too.
Fighter meeting, he talked about his athleticism, his jab, and his body work. Those are the 3 targets he talked about, and so far he's been able to use them all.
Yep. Heads came together again there.
Yeah, Correa's not going to mind the heads coming together, right? Like Jim was saying earlier, right? It's the more dirty you get, the
dirtier the better.
The more comfortable he is. There's a little feint from Angeletti. I think Angeletti could also...
Good right hand.
Right hand there from Angeletti. I think he could also stab the body jab, just like right there. I was just going to say that. Maybe show the jab downstairs and upstairs as well. Keep varying feints and dropping levels and changing levels.
Correa, I mean, with the chin up and kind of pulling straight back against a guy with such a longer reach is a bad idea.
Yeah, the puzzle of this fight is the distance. At a certain distance, it's better for Angeletti. At a closer distance, if Correa can free himself and fight, it's going to be better for Correa. But he's got to make sure he works when he's at close range.
Nah, he's just not being effective once he is in that proper real estate. Good feint there from Angeletti. There it is again. Oh, big right hand. A little bit of a roll with Correa there, but still well-timed shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed to me like Angeletti found something last round, and he's been able to build off it here in round 3. All those things that you said, Jimmy. The athleticism, the length, the jab, the body work, it's all on display here in round 3.
Even that sporadic success he had in round number 2, it hasn't been there in round number 3.
Angeletti did a good job of teeing off with that lead hand.
Stop. Box.
Nice feint, hard feint, a good jab.
Success for Angeletti in round number 3. Eros Correa not really able to get inside at all. You said it, athleticism, jab, body work, all 3 of those on display last round.
Yeah, you see the long right hand, 1-2 over the top. And again, those shots would not be so eye-catching if Correa wasn't so tall.
Yeah.
Tall with his chin up in the air, because that punch didn't land super clean or
Yeah,
hard.
it wasn't a hard shot. As a matter of fact, Correa stuck his tongue out afterwards, so it's not like it's not hurting him,
but it looks bad.
Eye-catching for the judges, costs you rounds.
In a fight that is all about real estate, this fight in the last round, as we begin round number 4, round number 3 was all about the real estate of Angeletti. It was more of a long-range fight.
And when they are in the inside, Angeletti is able to completely disarm Correa by tying him up, spinning him, not letting him get off.
There you go. Number 40.
As we said, Judy Flores last time out had some success early here in San Antonio against Angeletti by making it awkward. Correa really hasn't been able to do that.
Those feints are giving Correa a lot of issues. Angeletti starting to feint before he jabs, and he's landing much cleaner, solid jabs.
Yeah. Jabs and feints complement each other well. You know, they're good hooks. There. That's what I was talking about with Correa. He needs to find the angle, because Angeletti will blade off a little too soon at times, or roll the shoulder a little too soon at times, and put himself in a position to be hooked repeatedly. That's what Correa has to look for. But as far as we were saying, Chan, with the feints of Angeletti, the jabs and the feints, they complement one another well. Your jabs get better if your feints are working. If your feints are working, if your jabs are working, your feints also get better, get more effective as well.
Angeletti, of course, great amateur background, started boxing in middle school. Was a hopeful for the 2020 Olympics. Tell by the technique, he has those solid amateur fundamentals.
Yeah, he's got good eyes, seeing everything.
Correa,
spots.
Correa, when he leads, is not really landing anything cleanly. He's going to have to figure out a way to counter something Angeletti throws. That's going to be his way of landing cleanly, and maybe, dissuade Angeletti from being so confident in what he's doing right now.
And also, Angeletti's 3rd fight scheduled for 10 rounds, so he's used to going through the kind of camps to get you ready for 10 tough rounds.
Yeah, changing levels. Hand. Yeah, changing levels on the punches. Just keeping Correa controlled.
Yeah, Correa's looking more and more uncomfortable.
And confused, really.
Yep.
Well, every time he gets in this range, it's,
tied up, off balance.
As we call it, the over-under, Chris. Over-under position, right? He's in that position every time he gets close.
That was a good right hand.
by Correa.
Big shove by Correa. That was a frustration shove.
I don't like Correa hanging out in this range. He needs to be either a little further out or he needs to be active. Because he's hanging out just in a range where he's got to work hard, but he's not getting anything done.
Yeah, he can't find the punches.
Yep.
And it's actually inviting Angeletti to use his punches. That's Angeletti's ideal.
That's his range.
resistance.
It has been more boxing match than brawl, and that favors Michael Angeletti so far. Welcome back. Round number 5 about to get started. Another good round for Michael Angeletti. Eros Correa, we're in his corner now. Still in the fight, still trying to win. No knockdowns, no huge punches from Angeletti, but he has controlled the real estate. He's landed the significant shots so far. Correa has to find a way to get in and stay in. Can he do it in round number 5?
Angeletti's a tough style to be against, where if he finds his rhythm, it'd be very difficult to disrupt him. You got that reach, you got that athleticism. Ooh, good right hand there from Correa. Got the attention.
So far, total punches landed. Angeletti 49 to Correa's 27. Last round a bit more competitive, but it's been Michael Angeletti so far outlanding his opponent from San Jose.
Yeah, three out of 4 of those rounds, Angeletti has kept Correa landing less than 10 punches.
Yeah. Well, to your point, Chris, he's never been at range to punch. Never been at range to use his kind of style.
Yeah, because he's hanging out here.
And he's allowing Angeletti just comfortable jabbing. You see what he doesn't jab himself either. You know, you can jab with the jabber. He's looking to force his way in without jabbing. You're just going to keep walking into Angeletti's jab that way. And then, like I said a couple of rounds earlier, Angeletti sees everything he's doing. It's pretty telegraphed. So you're going to have to land at least maybe on a counter where if you're going to land something clean to get Angeletti's attention and maybe dissuade Angeletti from being so confident in doing what he's doing. Right now, Angeletti has no reason to change anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You get to the point where you're so over anxious when you do get the right real estate. You overthrow, you fall forward, you're off balance, and we're seeing that with Correa more and more, which is why he's so ineffective on the inside.
Yeah,
he's either too far in or hanging out in the middle distance.
Good little counter right hand from Correa. Maybe that's the shot right there.
Correa himself, an alternate 2012 Olympics, did have great amateur career as well. Beat Stephen Fulton in the amateurs. Didn't turn pro till he was 24 years old.
You see, since that counter right hand, Angeletti's thinking about the jab now. So you got to get on top of it. But now he's allowed Angeletti to go back to being first. Once you land that sharp counter, you got to be the one who's first if you're going to change things up. But Angeletti, understanding that, goes back to being first.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's opportunities for Correa. He's letting them go.
Correa fighting in Texas for the first time. He's only fought in California and Mexico. Of course, we saw Angeletti here last time out against Judy Flores. Got that body shot knockout win. 10 seconds left to go in round number 5. Another good round for Angeletti. Done. We keep saying gets in range, not able to use it that effectively. Chris, you said winging a lot of punches.
He's got to be able to follow up, because there are positions where he can use that right hand at the right range and then follow up without falling off balance or getting tied up.
Yeah. Halfway through this fight, scheduled for 10. Round number 6. It's hard to find a single round to give to Eros Correa if I'm looking at a scorecard.
He's trying. He's not getting anywhere.
Yeah, pretty close in power punches, 24-22. But
yeah.
Angeletti really controlling things with the jab.
Like Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Good body
Hasn't
shot
looked
there.
that close to us.
It's also the quality of those power punches.
Now Angeletti working well on the inside. Correa trying to answer
for
back.
the most part, Correa hasn't been able to get in range to even throw the power punches, you know?
Good offensive salvo there from Angeletti as he had Correa on the ropes for a rare moment.
And another thing, too, is that power punches are not created equal, right?
No,
so you can, grazing somebody with a power shot counts just as much as nailing him with a clean right hand. And as far as clean punches, it's been Michael Angeletti so far.
Nice stiff jab.
Just based on that stat, I'm counting the power shots Correa has landed this round. I don't know if he's landed any yet. And that jab backed up Correa there. Could have been maybe the solar plex he felt
Body
a little
jab,
bit,
yep.
plexus.
Correa actually landed some good jabs when he jabbed with Angeletti.
Yeah, and that's what I've been
stopped
saying.
doing that.
That's what I've been telling you.
Listen, the Poli Malignaggi here.
That's Tony Sirico in the movie Gotti.
Yep.
I've been telling you.
Good
nice
right hand.
And a follow-up hook.
Another good
right
one.
hand.
A lot more offensive opportunities being created by Angeletti here in this round.
And again, it's like, to your point, Champ, we were saying earlier, we were both saying it's just the range. If Correa can't get in range, you can't even throw power shots, let alone land them. And he's just not been at range. And he doesn't use the jab enough to even work against Angeletti's jab. Are those count as power shots, maybe?
That was
landed. Angeletti being so far very defensively sound.
Nice hard feint there from Angeletti. Offsets Eros.
One thing about that wide stance of Angeletti is when Correa comes in, they kind of run into each other a lot. He doesn't angle off a whole lot.
Well, sometimes I think it's by design too. You smother him because Correa kind of rushes in sometimes.
Yeah.
So instead of getting away, you just bump him.
But also, there were a lot more head clashes earlier on, and there's been adjustments made by Angeletti, so their heads are not coming together.
Blading off, right, using the shoulder a little bit.
Some action from round number 6.
This is where Angeletti actually let go with some combinations as he had Correa along the ropes. Boom. That was a right hand, but then also Correa came right back with his left hook over the top.
There you go. You landed one.
He landed a good left hook there in the temple.
But that was when Angeletti followed up with his salvo right after that, so it didn't even affect him.
Round number 7 underway. Michael Angeletti. Boxing well on the outside. It's been the story of the fight. Using his lead jab very, very well.
Stiff, long jabs. And I love when he follows up with the right hand left hook. There's a lot of more opportunities for him to do that.
And look at the jabs. It has been a wipeout, 53-18 for Michael Angeletti.
Yeah, that's been the story of the fight, is the jab. dictating of Michael Angeletti.
And some of those jabs are harder than the power punches that Correa has landed.
And total punches, of course, 88 to 47.
That means in round 6, CompuBox had Correa landing 7 power punches because 2 of them were jabs.
Unreal. You say it all the time, Chris. Don't hook with a hooker, but you do have to jab with a jabber.
Jab with a jabber, and you can jab with a taller man. That's another thing that people forget they can jab with a taller man. And in fact, you have to. You've got to be able to close the distance the right way. Timing matters. Oh, nice body shot there.
There we go.
Yep.
That's what he's got to do at close range, though.
But then he backs up. I don't understand it.
And what happens when he backs up? Angeletti is going to take advantage now because that's the Angeletti range and what is preferred for Angeletti. And what is Correa doing, too? He's backing up, but he's also figuring out what he's got to do instead of he was already in range where he could have decided what to do there. Like I said, this battle is always going to be a battle of range here.
Well, and if that's the case, it's going to be an Angeletti victory because he's a master at range.
And also Correa can't figure out what range he needs to be at. See, Angeletti knows the range he needs to be at to win the fight. I think Correa's kind of confused as to what range he wants to fight at. And the fact that he had his proper range, we felt, and he walked away from it shows that even he isn't sure what distance to fight at this fight.
Angeletti choosing to let Correa off the ropes. Had some success there in the last round.
We're seeing more and more of that. The double jab right hand from Angeletti at length. He's found his range with the jab. He's trying to put the right hand on top of it.
Watch your heads. Come on, watch your heads out, gentlemen. Watch your heads out. Watch the back of the head, Eros. Watch the back of the head.
Round number 7 comes to a close. Correa still not having a real answer for that consistent jab of Michael Angeletti.
Time.
Number 8 about to get underway. Michael Angeletti's got to be feeling good about how things are going so far. Looking at his corner right now.
Looks cool, calm, and collected to me, does Angeletti.
Yeah. Here we go, round number 8.
And listen, if I'm in the corner of Correa, I'm going to have some urgency here.
Yeah.
We're in round 8, getting out-punched, out-boxed, fighting at the wrong range.
Angeletti starting out very aggressively in this 8th round.
And that's something that also impresses me about Angeletti. Obviously, he's got this great size for the weight class. He's tall, he's long. The fact that he's able to make the weight as comfortably as he does is very, very indicative of his discipline and his eating habits. But also, he's got late endurance, late condition. Usually, guys who cut a lot of weight, they'll tend to tire out. Not Angeletti.
And aside from kind of bowling his way in, there hasn't been a real way for Eros Correa to get inside behind the punch, to get inside safely, gentlemen.
Yeah. Or he hasn't been able to disguise it in any way. He barely used his jab. And when he's used it, he's had decent success closing range. It's few and far between, while Angeletti has continued to keep a disciplined game plan and, more importantly, a consistent game plan.
Don't know what they are, but it's likely a wide margin on the scorecards right now.
Well, the odds here were right.
Yeah. So far, they've been right.
Actually, it might have been. It should have been a little wider.
Yeah. We were criticizing them one way, but Correa just hasn't been able to figure it out.
An attempt there to the body for Correa, but he eats a right hand for his effort. Ooh, good right hand downstairs.
You saw the eyes of Angeletti went low and then punched high.
Yeah, I like those eye feints. Those eye feints that he's doing.
Good smother there by Angeletti after Correa rushed in.
He backed out, but he changed levels and got low. A lot of times tall guys, they'll back straight out, and they stay too tall, and they get cracked on the end. Angeletti did a nice job bending his knees, getting underneath his man.
And allowed Correa to run into him and smother his work.
Yep. Good.
Then on the break, what happens? You're back at range you want.
Feinted the right hand out. Yeah. Oh, Angeletti.
Nice right hand.
He's in his flow state now. He's found his rhythm. He's very, very comfortable. He could do this in 15 rounds.
Yeah, because he controls pace as well. And as you were saying, the inside work fatigues you, but now it's not a lot of inside work either. Not a lot of shoving anymore.
Stop!
As I say that, it happens.
Yeah, right on cue.
Right on cue.
Time!
2 rounds left to go. Eros Correa needs to find a way to get inside, stay inside, and do damage. 3 things he has not been able to do so far in this fight.
Yeah, again, I'm not seeing the urgency in the corner.
No, hey, you got to win this, because so far it's been at Michael Angeletti's range.
Again, not the cleanest shots landing, not super heavy, but the only eye-catching shots are coming from Angeletti.
Yeah, and he's not returning fire really. You know, he's not a lot of counter punches on the part of Correa, and when he tries to lead, everything is kind of telegraphed, and Angeletti sees it coming and is able to evade. And in between all that, it's Angeletti controlling with the jab.
Sort of round number 9 scheduled for 10. Wouldn't be surprised so far if it's a wipeout on the scorecards for Michael Angeletti.
And it's not like you can argue like, oh, well, Correa's coming forward the whole time. He's pushing the pace because he's not.
No. Forced to play on the outside.
Playing right into the hands of the taller, longer boxer in Angeletti.
We talked about the sparring work of Michael Angeletti, Shakur Stevenson, Guillermo Rigondeaux, fighters like that. I mean, they're going to have you physically prepared to go. So, oh, nice check left hook.
Also 2 masters of range.
Yes.
Rigondeaux and Shakur.
And Correa's backing up now, so he's confused because Angeletti changing height, changing levels, mixing the feints, and also mixing up a couple of lead right hands in between the jabs. So now you can't anticipate which hand is going to shoot out at you.
Also, Angeletti, he's landing now, coming and going. Going forward, he's landing the 1-1-2s, and going backwards, he landed a nice check hook. That got the attention.
Again, the level change on the backup chain, like you mentioned a couple of rounds earlier. Changes
Good
the target.
fundamentals.
Changing the target on the retreat, which forces Correa to sort of pause or run into him. And every stopping restart, it favors Angeletti. Why? Because Angeletti has the better jab. Every break, every stop, restart, now you reset, and what happens? You're back at jab range, and you got to start all over again. And it's very difficult to get past the Angeletti jab if you're Correa. So again, navigating through the fight very intelligently is Michael Angeletti. While Eros Correa is going to have to figure out a way to do something really big here. He's got about 4 minutes left in this fight to figure something out.
He's running out of time very quickly. The sand is running out of the hourglass. But again, I don't sense urgency between him or the corner.
Yeah, nor any changes in the approach.
Ooh.
Nice right hand from Angeletti. Didn't catch all of it, but as you said, another, if they're eye-catching shots, that's one of them. Oh. Ending the round with yet another good combination.
Good right hand there from Correa.
But he went away.
Yeah, I know. Backs right up.
Ladies and gentlemen, here inside the Boeing Center at Techport, one more to go. This is the 10th and final round.
Well, one more round to go in a fight that has so far been dominated by Michael Angeletti.
I was saying he's starting to land shots, coming and going. So he's going forward, landing right hands. He's going backward, landing left hooks. If Correa wants to pull this fight out of the fire, he's going to have to bring some heat this round.
Yeah, he's got to give it everything he has. Wouldn't be surprised on the scorecards if it is an absolute wipeout for Michael Angeletti. It's been at his range, which has been long distance. Long jab, good right hand. Correa unable to get in the proper range and stay there.
He doesn't need this round, but he's fighting.
He's fighting for it, yeah.
He's fighting to back up Correa and keep him controlled. Maybe figure trying to stay a step ahead of the guy who may come out desperate. Say, if I back him up, he can't go for broke.
Yeah, Angeletti's taking the stance like he wants to take this round as well.
Yeah, and when you do that, you establish the ring. You don't allow Correa to go for broke and fight desperate where he can land something big.
Nice combinations from Angeletti.
And Angeletti here in 10th round looking super relaxed, super calm, in control, beautiful right hand.
Very sharp lead right there. Again, Angeletti mixing those straight shots, a sharp jab in various ways, and then every once in a while, lead right hand sort of changes the trajectory of where the punches are coming from, and Correa cannot get the anticipation down.
Oh,
nice jab. That hurt Correa. Snapped his head back.
Yeah, like
I said, Chris, that Pez dispenser shot.
Yeah, and I said earlier, some of the stiff jabs that Angeletti's landed have been harder than the so-called power shots landed by Correa. Angieletti's done a really good job to disarm a guy who is very awkward, very tough.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just with the basics, right? Yep. I mean, when a guy is awkward and difficult to deal with, sometimes you don't complicate it.
Another good right hand, good left hook as well. And it's Angeletti going for a broken round 10.
Simple combination, but with speed. 1-2, then 1-2-3. Short, simple combinations. The thing, kind of combinations you learn early when you start boxing, but with some speed, sharp, and timing.
Clubbing shot there from Correa. Lands on the side of the head.
He did the George Foreman with Ali.
Yeah.
Club him and everything he can get him with.
Stop!
Yeah, but George can knock out a bear with a clubbing shot. most guys don't care. Oh, good right hand from
Correa.
Right? There you go. That's the kind of punch that he needs to land.
Angeletti, though, not backing down.
Nope.
Clubbing left hand there.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell, like, his Correa's off balance at times if those punches are bothering him. It looks like they are, but it's also because he pulls straight back and he gets tall.
The optics don't look great.
Yeah. But also it's late in the fight. Even those shots can hurt you.
And Michael Angeletti finishing strong in round number 10. A round that probably on the scorecards he didn't need, but it says a lot. He came out to fight.
Yeah, that was an impressive performance. He showed a lot of fundamental skills. He showed
poised, mature,
super poised, super mature, super smart, great conditioning. You name it. I mean, he showed a lot of tools tonight.
Take a look at it here. Beautiful jab and combinations after it.
We saw a lot of different tools from him tonight. Hard jabs, good right hands, combinations, adding hooks to it, and just building off a simple combination, just like you said, Champ. I mean, jab, 1-2, 1-2-3.
Kiss method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid.
With a little bit of speed. Kiss method with a little bit of speed and timing. That's all you need sometimes.
This could have been a very difficult, ugly fight. But Angeletti used his distance control, his range, to make this a pretty easy fight to score.
Correa tried to get in, but without much of a jab. You know, he kind of had to walk in, walk in blind. The only way to say it, he's eating jabs because of that.
I mean, he had the tools to do it. He was showing flashes. He jabbed with Angeletti early on. He was using the overhand right, chopping on the inside. He landed a couple right hands over the top, but there was no follow-up. There was no understanding of what he did to get there and how to advance it. So frustrating. Got to be a frustrating night for Correa, or if you're a fan of Correa.
Yeah, couldn't get in and couldn't stay there. Great work from Michael Angeletti. Provided we don't see one of the worst robberies we've ever seen, he will move to 14-0. What do the scorecards themselves say? That is the question. About to find out from Lupe Contreras.
After going all 10 rounds inside the ProBox TV ring, we consult the official scorecard to determine a winner. Damas y caballeros, después de completar las 10 vueltas, consultamos a la tarjeta oficial para determinar el vencedor. Los tres jueces están de acuerdo, con tarjetas idénticas de 99 a 91. All three judges are in agreement with identical scores of 99 to 91. In favor of the winner by way of unanimous decision, a favor del vencedor, por decisión unánime. And now, the USBA Bantamweight champion, from the Big Easy, Michael Angeletti.
No surprise there, Michael Angeletti winning by unanimous decision.
I don't know if Correa was acting, but he acted surprised.
I don't know why he would be.
99-91, all three judges' scorecards.
Yeah.
Pretty easy fight to score.
Even that might have been generous.
Right.
Could have easily pitched a shutout. Angeletti doing a fantastic job tonight. As you said, Chris, great boxing, great use of the jab, great combinations, simple stuff, but done very, very well.
Control. He controlled the space. He controlled his opponent. He was a ring general tonight. Showed a lot of skill, a lot of class, a lot of maturity, a lot of poise. This kid's got a lot of talent, and a deep bag of boxing skills to go along with that talent.
Any recap of this fight from Michael Angeletti is going to basically look like a highlight reel for him. Good stuff with jab. Wasn't able to make his power punches a huge factor. I didn't think there was any one shot that necessarily hurt Eros Correa, but able to outbox him the entire time. Excellent use of the jab.
It was a performance as a whole.
Right.
And a fighter like this can compete at a high level because, he knows how to navigate his way through a long fight.
Yeah, certainly did that. Gas looked fantastic. His output did not plummet in the later rounds. Eros Correa, no real way to keep up in this fight, but when we talk about big punchers, we saw them earlier tonight. We're going to see them again July 12th. Save Mart Arena in Fresno, California. Lester Martinez, 19-0, 16 of those wins by knockout, a force in the super middleweight division, taking on Pierre de Bombe. 22-2-1, 12 wins by knockout. But if you haven't seen Lester Martinez fight yet, he is must-see TV every single time. Knockout power in both hands. Also, Vladimir Hernandez, outstanding fighter. Going to see him again. It was a great night from the beginning. Incredible performances from Ruben Aguilar. And then John Mindoro in the middleweight division in round number 1. A hellacious uppercut right there to add another knockout to his career. Emiliano Moreno in our co-main event of the evening over Erick Bonet. once again making his power, his volume, his accuracy the story of the fight. Corner stoppage before round 7. And our main event, Angeletti over Correa. Thank you so much for everyone behind the scenes. We will see you next time on ProBox.